somber version of America the Beautiful at the Capitol Rotunda, where the ceremony is now to begin for former President Carter.
People are still entering the rotunda. A few minutes ago, we saw military leadership enter, and now the casket is entering. A military procession.
Military pageantry as the coffin of former President Carter is placed at the very center of the rotunda, and now the pallbearers from all the branches of the military are quietly marching away. The ceremony is about to begin.
This is a very ritualistic experience. They do this exactly the same each time, all marching in time, all with their white gloves, the pallbearers with their white gloves. And now the focus on that casket in the very center of the rotunda. Legislative leadership standing there, some with their heads bowed, most just standing very solemnly. Seriousness of the experience on all their faces.
You mentioned this pageantry is prescribed, that it's the same in every case. Was the last one George Bush Sr.? 2012, I think. So it's been a minute. If I'm right, it's
13 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are, seeing this played again for Republican presidents, for Democratic presidents.
There is some comfort in this kind of pomp and circumstance and the respect that we show that our former leaders.
Members of the military services are perched at the four corners surrounding the casket. A slow salute is offered from the head of the group of servicemen.
We mentioned the symbolism and even the way that they hold their rifles and then salute the casket.
You know, for a generation that's used to instantaneous satisfaction on social media,
this is not that.
Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arms have bound the restless waves. We thank you for the inspiration of a consequential and laudable life as we celebrate the legacy of James Earl Carter, Jr., the 39th President of the United States. We proclaim your generosity to this nation and world for giving us the gift of someone with the ethical congruence to be salt and light to his generation. Lord, he made the world more palatable. We thank you for his passion for integrity, his commitment to leave the world better than he found it, and his exemplary love for his precious Rosalind. Inspired by his great life, teach us to know you more clearly, to love you more dearly, and to follow you more nearly each day. We pray in your matchless name. Amen.
That sounds like an orator who's hired in. No, that is the chaplain of the U.S. Senate, retired Admiral Barry Black, delivering the invocation.
President, Mr. Speaker, Leader Schumer, Leader Jeffries, Jack, Chip, Jeff, Amy, and other members of the Carter family, and distinguished guests. Today we gather to begin a final farewell to Jimmy Carter, Navy veteran, peanut farmer, Governor of Georgia, and President of the United States. Sunday school teacher, Nobel Prize winner, advocate for peace and human rights, and first and foremost, a faithful servant of his Creator and his fellow man. In a commencement speech he delivered at Liberty University back in 2018, President Carter told a story about going on a mission to Massachusetts back in his younger days under the auspices of the Southern Baptist Convention. During that trip, President Carter was impressed by the success of a fellow missionary in winning souls to Christ. And so as the mission was winding down, he asked him what made him so successful. He was a little embarrassed by my question, President Carter recalled, but then he finally said, "I try to have two loves in my heart. One love is for God, and the other love I have in my heart is for the person who happens to be in front of me at any particular time." It was a statement, President Carter said, that he never forgot. I think it's fair to say that it's also a statement he lived by. President Carter's term as president ended in 1981. And for the remainder of his life, the longest post-presidency of any American president ever, he focused on making the lives of his fellow men better. That meant things like the Carter Center, which, among other things, works for the eradication of disease in some of the poorest areas of the globe. And it meant things like his work with Habitat for Humanity to provide affordable housing for those in need. And when I say his work with Habitat for Humanity, I do mean his work. Jimmy Carter knew that his status as a former president could bring attention to good causes. It's why he encouraged Habitat to make use of his name and image. But simply lending his name, or maybe attending a gala or two, wasn't Jimmy Carter's style. He was here to get down in the weeds and the dirt, and he did that literally on numerous Habitat builds, including one back in 1994, in Eagle Butte in my home state of South Dakota. Well into his 90s, he could be found with his hard hat and tools on construction sites doing the practical work required to get families into homes. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. And Jimmy Carter did his very best to live according to the calling of his Lord and Savior. Today, I join all Americans in mourning President Carter and remembering his example. But I rejoice in the thought that he, together with his beloved wife, Rosalind, is now before the face of his Father.
To the family, to Jack and Chip and Jeff and Amy, the entire Carter family, Vice President Harris, members of the Cabinet, Leader Thune, my colleagues in Congress, and my fellow citizens. We meet in this sacred hall of self-government to honor an extraordinary man, a man who modeled the virtues of service and citizenship, as well as any other American. Surrounding us are the statues of those who gave their time, their energy, and their lives for the good of America. Before us lays a man who now joins their midst as a patriot, a veteran, a humanitarian, and the 39th President of the United States. When Jimmy Carter walked out on the east front of the Capitol and took his oath of office, I was just 4 years old, and he's the first president that I remember. Looking back, it's obvious now to me as an adult why he captured everyone's attention. Jimmy Carter was a member of the greatest generation. He lived through the Great Depression. He did that on a farm in rural Georgia. He knew the value of a dollar, and he modeled thrift his entire life. As long as he was in office, he hated government waste. His father, an Army veteran of the World War I era, taught patriotism to his children. And eventually his son, this young man from Plains, followed his father's example of self-sacrifice, and he joined the Naval Academy in the middle of World War II. In the Army, Lieutenant Carter learned from the legendary Admiral Rickover to always do his best as he served on the first fleet of nuclear submarines. It's telling that today the USS Jimmy Carter, a top-secret attack submarine, now roams the oceans, bearing the name of the only president who served in such close quarters. President Carter's life, his selfless service, his fight against cancer, and his lasting contributions to his fellow man are all truly remarkable. Whether he was in the White House or in his post-presidential years, as was discussed, President Carter was willing to roll up his own sleeves to serve and get the job done. We all know about his work with Habitat for Humanity, and that was mentioned. And the origin story goes that it was in 1984, when he first became aware of the work. He was in New York for a friend's anniversary. Millard Fuller, the founder of the fledgling charity at the time, called President Carter and asked if he wanted to visit a site in Brooklyn during his trip. President Carter agreed, and he found his way down to the Lower East Side. Standing on the roof of a dilapidated building, he looked out on the wealth of Wall Street to the south and to the power of Midtown Manhattan to the north. And then he looked down and he saw an image he'd never forget. An elderly woman cooking breakfast over an open fire in the rubble of the building, there in the heart of the richest city in the world. The Habitat for Humanity worker that was there with him turned to President Carter and said, if there's anything that you can do, we would take it. He said, if there's anything I can do, let me know. The worker said, well, maybe you can send some volunteer carpenters from your church. It was the very next day that President Carter called Habitat for Humanity and told them he was going to send some carpenters, all right, and that he himself would be one of them. And thus began his famous tradition of donating 1 week every year to build and restore homes for his fellow Americans. It's remarkable to think that one of the 45 men who has served as president, and one of the only 13 who held the role in the nuclear age, would humble himself to such service. We all know that his care for humanity didn't stop at building homes. In the face of illness, President Jimmy Carter brought life-saving medicine. In the face of conflict, he brokered peace. In the face of discrimination, he reminded us that we are all made in the image of God. And if you were to ask him why he did it all, he would likely point to his faith. I'm reminded of his admonition to, quote, live our lives as though Christ were coming this afternoon, and of his amazing personal reflection. Quote, if I have one life and one chance to make it count for something. We all agree that he certainly did. So today in these hallowed halls of our republic, we honor President Carter, his family, and his enduring legacy that he leaves, not only upon this nation, but upon the world.
This is House Speaker Mike Johnson delivering his eulogy in the Capitol Rotunda for former President Jimmy Carter. You're listening to KSL News Radio. This is live coverage.
Speaker Johnson, Leader Schumer,
Now Kamala
Leader
Harris.
Jeffries, members of Congress, and distinguished guests. It is an honor to be with you this afternoon, and to Jack, Chip, Jeff, Amy, and Jason, and all the other members of the Carter family. On behalf of the American people, Doug and I offer our deepest condolences. Being with you today, I'm reminded of the enduring words of a favorite hymn. May the works I have done speak for me. Today we gather to celebrate the life of a man whose works will echo for generations to come. A man from Plains, Georgia, who grew up without electricity or running water and served as the 39th President of the United States of America and lived every day of his long life in service to the people. President James Earl Carter, Jr. So I was in middle school when Jimmy Carter was elected president. And I vividly recall how my mother admired him, how much she admired his strength of character, his honesty, his integrity, his work ethic and determination, his intelligence, and his generosity of spirit. We have heard much today and in recent days about President Carter's impact in the 4 decades after he left the White House. Rightly so. Jimmy Carter established a new model for what it means to be a former president and leaves an extraordinary post-presidential legacy. From founding the Carter Center, which has helped advance global human rights and alleviate human suffering, to his public health work in Latin America and Africa, to his tireless advocacy for peace and democracy. And Jimmy Carter was the President of the United States who was ahead of his time. He was the first president of the United States to have a comprehensive energy policy, including providing some of the first federal support for clean energy. He also passed over a dozen major pieces of legislation regarding environmental protection, and more than doubled the size of America's national parks, including protecting our beloved redwoods in my home state of California. He was a president who, between the years of 1977 and 1981, appointed more Black Americans to the federal bench than all of his predecessors combined, and appointed 5 times as many women. And in the wake of Watergate, Jimmy Carter passed historic ethics legislation to help rebuild America's faith in government. Jimmy Carter, as president, was also a respected global leader. To be sure, the years of his presidency were not without international crises or challenges, but his legacy of global leadership is well established. In Asia, he instituted full diplomatic relations with China, which he would later call one of the most historically significant accomplishments of his presidency. And his legacy lives on in the Middle East because, do recall, in the decades before Jimmy Carter became president, Israel and Egypt had been at war numerous times. Few thought peace could be achieved between them. Yet Jimmy Carter did that. Through his persistence and perseverance, through his unshakable belief in the power of American diplomacy, he secured the Camp David Accords, one of the most significant and durable peace treaties since World War II. And throughout the world, Jimmy Carter elevated the role of human rights in America's foreign policy priorities and uplifted the importance of civil society in doing that work. Jimmy Carter was a forward-looking president with a vision for the future. Consider his establishment of the Department of Energy in 1977, which anticipated the central role it would play in addressing the climate crisis. His creation of FEMA in 1979, which enabled our nation to mobilize a national response to disasters, which has helped countless communities rebuild and recover. And his founding of the Department of Education later that year, which elevated public education institutions and increased national standards for the education of America's children and future leaders. Jimmy Carter was that all too rare example of a gifted man who also walks with humility, modesty, and grace. Recall the stories from the 1976 campaign about how he slept in the homes of his supporters to share a meal with them at their table and to listen to what was on their minds. How on their first trip for Habitat for Humanity, Jimmy and Rosalind rode the bus with the other volunteers. And when the group stopped for the night to stay at a local church, Jimmy and Rosalind gave their private room to a young couple who had put off their honeymoon to join the trip. And with the other volunteers, they then slept on the floor of the church basement. And then, of course, his work to eradicate the vicious guinea worm disease that once disabled millions of people a year. It was one of the Carter Center's greatest triumphs. And Jimmy Carter, of course, given his nature, attributed its success not to his own leadership, but to the thousands of everyday Africans who were on the ground doing the work. Throughout his life and career, Jimmy Carter retained a fundamental decency and humility. James Earl Carter, Jr. loved our country. He lived his faith, he served the people, and he left the world better than he found it. And in the end, Jimmy Carter's work and those works speak for him, louder than any tribute we can offer. May his life be a lesson for the ages and a beacon for the future. May God bless President Jimmy Carter, and may God bless the United States of America.
Vice President Kamala Harris speaking in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. We just heard from two Republican leaders of Congress and a Democrat, the Vice President, who is the President of the Senate, three leaders of Congress, which opened its doors, and the Rotunda of the People's House, where a president now lies in state. You've been listening to coverage on KSL News Radio. We want to catch you up on the trip. Traffic and weather together now. We're brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
We'll start in Utah County, where we have an accident at the on-ramp to southbound I-15 at Lehigh Main Street. It had been blocking a right lane of traffic. It's in the clearing stages. The main flow of I-15 both directions in Utah County looks great. In Salt Lake County, the final clearing of a crash. This is at the on-ramp at the 201 junction and 5600 West. It's now moved to the right shoulder, and traffic filling in and already slowing down on southbound I-15 from 4500 South Murray to about 90th South in Sandy. Steve?
Right now, north and southbound 15 looking crash-free, zipping along, nothing to slow you down. Got full speeds between Salt Lake City and Brigham. Same story on 215's West Side Belt. Legacy looking good. And same for Highway 89 up in South Weber between Kaysville and Ogden. Get started on your dream kitchen or bath countertops with special financing for Bedrock Quartz. For up to 18 months, visit bedrockquartz.com for details. That's bedrockquartz.com. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high of 39, gusty out of the east for Davis and Weber counties and the northeast corner of Salt Lake County. Overnight cold 21, 35 and mostly sunny for your Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
You're listening to Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM
and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, 3:30 at KSL. Jeff Caplan here. We're 43 in Salt Lake City. KSL's top story here at home in Utah. A plea deal for a man accused of faking his own death to avoid rape charges has fallen through. That means Nicholas Rossi will stand trial later this year. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce has the update. Becky.
Jeff, today was the deadline for Nicholas Rossi to enter a guilty plea if he was going to, but today his attorney confirmed negotiations with the state fell apart without a plea deal in place. And attorneys for the state say that means they're good to go to trial in September.
The state withdrew any plea offer, and with the understanding that will not be offered again.
Rossi appeared at the hearing over video feed from the Utah County Jail. He had oxygen with him and appeared to be in a wheelchair. He did not speak at today's hearing. The judge set a hearing in March ahead of a September 15th trial date. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
Thanks, Becky. KSL News Time, 3:32. Ceremony is underway right now in the nation's capital, which we've been covering for former President Jimmy Carter. Maria Chaleos is live at the KSL National News Desk.
Jeff, the Naval Academy Glee Club now singing My Country 'Tis of Thee. It's part of a ceremony honoring President Carter. In the ceremony earlier, both leaders of the House and Senate and Vice President offering their thoughts. Vice President Harris offering the eulogy. Now, the 39th president will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda until Thursday when his funeral takes place at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. President-elect Trump making remarks today from Mar-a-Lago. During his remarks, Mr. Trump said he plans to make pardons connected with the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol.
People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons.
During the news conference, Mr. Trump did not rule out the use of military force to retake the Panama Canal. Investigators in Las Vegas are piecing together more details of the New Year's Day Cybertruck bomb attack outside the Trump Hotel. Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin says a document found on the suspect's phone listed his grievances.
There's mentions of political and social and cultural issues to include criticism of the current administration.
Corrin also saying the suspect used generative AI to help plan the Las Vegas attack. And a scary discovery on the U.S.-Mexico border. Border officers at the Nogales, Arizona airport of entry found a rocket launcher and 2 rocket-propelled grenades hidden in a car on December 28th. Now, they believe the launcher was intended to protect the cartels and their fentanyl production labs in Mexico. Live from the KSL National News Desk, I'm Maria Chaleos, KSL News Radio.
Riverton City says they're going to work to deport any illegal immigrant who commits a crime. Mayor Trent Staggs released a statement today saying officials will work with ICE and other law enforcement to help enforce the larger plan announced by Governor Cox last year. In a statement, Mayor Staggs says the Riverton will, quote, never be a sanctuary city. A teacher in the Alpine School District has been arrested accused of downloading child porn onto a work computer.
Arresting documents show an art teacher at Oak Canyon Junior High used his school email to download explicit material. Police say Travis Adamson admitted to downloading the files and told them he had even more on a hard drive at his house. Rich Stoll with the Alpine School District says they immediately placed the teacher on administrative leave.
We have district policies and state laws that guide us on our next steps. And so we're in communication with the Utah County Sheriff's Office as they conduct their investigation.
The police report says the teacher denies ever doing anything inappropriate with his students, but he did admit to viewing this type of material over the last 5 to 6 years. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 3:34. This number might sound a bit shocking. A third of last year's road fatalities in Utah were not behind the wheel of a car.
UDOT and the Department of Public Safety say it's pedestrians, motorcyclists, and bike riders that made up 1/3 of all deaths on Utah roads.
It's not just city streets, downtown Salt Lake. They're out in the suburbs. They're out on the country roads.
That was UDOT spokesperson John Gleason, who believes it's on us to turn that stat around.
It's on all of us as drivers and anybody who's out on the road to watch out for these people.
More standouts in their 2024 report. Motorcycle rider deaths hit a 15-year high, and 40% of all road fatalities involve someone not wearing a seatbelt. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
A wind advisory is in effect along the northern Wasatch Front. The National Weather Service says wind could get up to 55 miles per hour around Farmington and Kaysville. The advisory continues until early tomorrow morning. KSL News Time 3:35. It's time for First Look Traffic. So, Ricky, the rush is on. What you got?
The rush is on. We already have slowdown southbound I-15 from Murray to the top of Sandy, and tow trucks now at the scene clearing this crash. It's at the top of the overpass at the 201 junction and 5600 West. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Ricky, I think you told me that you like the Great British Baking Show.
I love the Great British
You do watch it. Okay.
I do.
Well, stay here. My Minute of News is on the way next.
The best parts of KSL News Radio are so easy to use in the car. Catch the biggest stories affecting Utah's communities throughout the morning. If you miss a newscast, the next one is just a few minutes away. Plus, we have traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s like clockwork. We try to make it easy for your commute, mornings and afternoons. Rely on KSL News Radio.
Hey, this is Dan the Laptop Man from PC Laptops. Myth. You might have heard that you need to spend a fortune these days to get a powerful computer. Correction. At PC Laptops, we wanted to prove that wrong. So here's the most amazing deal that we've ever done at PC Laptops for you in over 30 years. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Take one home today. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. What's the most popular pie in America? I'm not counting pizza, just, pie. Flaky crust hiding a sweet filling. What's the most popular? I'll give you a hint. It's as American as apple pie. So why is it that the pie Utah Googles the most is meat pie? Look, I've been here 15 years. Nobody's ever served me a pie with McNuggets in it. The only place I seem to find meat pie is on the Great British Baking Show, which my wife leaves on every single night till she falls asleep. I'm now an expert. Mince pie, shepherd's pie, the plowman's lunch. But now I've just heard about a pie you've probably never heard of. So bizarre. They're never going to put it on the British Baking Show. You ever hear of Stargazy pie? This English pie features a flaky crust filled with baked fish, eggs, and potatoes. Which sounds like it might be good, but as a finishing flourish, the baker sticks a half dozen dead fish heads into the pie. So these fish heads are popping up out of the crust, staring at you, their lifeless eyes gazing toward the beyond. You half expect them to start singing.
Folks who fish, beware.
Yes?
You may not know exactly what goes on down there.
Thank you, fish heads. Stargazy pie. Please don't Google it. I don't want it to turn up on the Utah list of best pies. You'll see the fish heads are gazing toward the stars. That's why it's called Stargazy. And if they bake it on the British Bake Off, I'm going to have nightmares.
And that's the end of this fishy tale.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
What do you think, Rick?
Ew, stinky. and to have those looking back at me, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
A right lane partially blocked with a tow truck trying to clear this crash in West Valley. It's at the ramp. Eastbound SR 201 at 5600 West. If you're making your way westbound on the 201, it's already busy and a little slow through the construction Redwood Road over to Bangerter Highway southbound I-15. It's already been filling in and slowing down as you go from Murray to about 90th South and again passing Bangerter, but clear from the Point to Provo. Mountain View Corridor seeing some southbound slowdowns going from 2100 to 3500 South. Steve?
Southbound Foothill Drive a little busy from Caraway out to Foothill Village. Northbound 15, pretty good shape. Full speeds up to Brigham City. Got the same easy drive if you're traveling the 215 West Belt or the Legacy Parkway. Highway 89, no problems there, except for those slowdowns down the hill there to I-84 through Uinta. Wendy Choose Performance Automotive and Bountiful, you're choosing convenience with 4 dealers inventory. Performance Ford, Lincoln, Honda, Toyota, and Truck Country all in one place. PerformanceBountiful.com. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
The wet weather clears out. We've got partly cloudy skies today with a high of 39. Gusty east winds are possible, especially late into Bountiful, where they could see gusts up to 60 miles an hour. 21 in the overnight, gusty east winds, especially at Canyon Mills, then diminishing into Wednesday afternoon. Look for a high of 35, mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Blue sky, 43 degrees. Well, this is a wrinkle. Artificial intelligence was used in the Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. That's what they're saying. We're going to get a live report in just a moment from ABC News. We're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com. We are live on the KSL News Radio app. This is Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Hi, I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox.
In these trying times, when inflation is out of control and our paychecks give us less and less money to support our families, the last thing any of us can afford is for the IRS to garnish wages, levy bank accounts, or seize assets. It's important now more than ever to protect your financial security.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
$66,300. Let us safeguard you. Visit endtaxworry.com. We have saved countless taxpayers like you millions of dollars, kept businesses in operation, and ensured that our clients receive the best possible outcome.
Nearly $65,000.
$12,000 is something that you can look at and say, okay, I can handle that.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. You work hard for your money. Let us work hard for you. Visit endtaxworry.com.
We're very grateful.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
You know that feeling? Your furnace is working way too hard to keep up with the cold, except now it's not actually as cold as it used to be, but the furnace still seems to be working too hard. And what if this means your furnace doesn't have what it takes to survive the winter after all? Whipple that away. Replacing your furnace now so you can stop worrying now is my job. Make your problem my problem. Whipple Service Champions.
Visit whipplethataway.com for our current special offers.
KSL News Time 3:45. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a new report on road fatalities reveals that last year, 1/3 of all deaths on Utah roads weren't behind the wheels of a car, including pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. I'm KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera.
Second, former President Jimmy Carter's casket has arrived at the U.S. Capitol. He will lie in state until Thursday. Third, our biggest traffic trouble spot.
The usual slowdowns have already started setting in southbound I-15 from about 3900 south to 90th south, and again in Draper as you're passing Bangor Highway. Westbound on the 201, also heavy and slow, Redwood to Bangor in the construction zone. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Low pressure will cut off into the Southern California coast. That usually means east winds for Utah. I'm Matt Johnson.
It's 43 at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Now our top national stories.
I'm Michelle Franzen. The casket of former President Jimmy Carter arrived at the U.S. Capitol today.
Ready, step.
Carried into the rotunda where his body will lie in state until his funeral Thursday. Family members, lawmakers, Supreme Court justices, and foreign dignitaries took part in a ceremony honoring the 39th president and his legacy. Carter died December 29th at the age of 100. In Southern California, chaos and evacuations after a brush fire broke out in Pacific Palisades just south of Malibu. Residents, including Megan Garman, racing to evacuate. She says she's never seen anything like it.
Never. And I've lived in Malibu my whole life, and I've seen tons of fires. This is nothing. I'm scared for my life. It's terrifying.
The blaze already has charred 800 acres, fueled by the fierce Santa Ana winds. Gusts of 100 miles an hour are expected, the strongest in more than a decade. For much of the country, bitter cold temperatures are keeping a grip. This is ABC News.
And now the KSL in-depth and what they're calling the final official update on the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion. Officials have revealed that the soldier who died in the explosion used AI to plan the attack. Joining me live, ABC's chief investigative reporter, Josh Margolin, is with us. Thanks for coming on. So walk us through it. How did he use AI?
He was asking ChatGPT what types of explosives to use. He was trying to figure out, I want to create basically a spectacular blast, but he didn't want to kill anybody. How much do you use fireworks versus TNT versus other kinds of things? It's really just remarkable, but it does go into the level of preparation and planning. He had really descended into a dark mental place, and he was using his skills and smarts to plot this terrible ending for himself.
Okay, so the big question here is, did ChatGPT give him the answers that he wanted? Have they released any transcripts from these conversations?
Well, ChatGPT gave him answers. It's not entirely clear if everything that ChatGPT told him to do, he did. But they have not released every single thing, and some of the material on his phone, they're in the process of working with the Pentagon to see if they're allowed to release that information. But in terms of his preparation, they've put a lot of information out right now. They've also they put out 6 pages of writings that had him talking about what he was trying to achieve, what he was thinking about, the spectacular nature of the suicide that he was contemplating. He was thinking about possibly blowing up the Cybertruck at the Grand Canyon. He was talking about being followed, and there's obviously, the FBI said that there's no evidence that he was being followed by anybody. And then he was talking about the people that he killed and the comrades that he saw die in the military.
So this is what we've learned about this guy. And the final update, why no more? Is that everything there is to this case?
There's additional investigative work that's going to be going on, and we will likely see some sort of written report down the road talking about this. They have an additional device. They will come forward and have another public press conference if something dramatically changes. But at this point, they have interviewed everybody that they can interview. They've gone through the phone that he was using, and they believe they have now gotten to what this terrible explosion was, what prompted it, and if it doesn't need to be clarified or changed, then they'll continue going through the information. As I said, they're talking to the Pentagon. There is another computer or two that they actually want to get into, but they think that this is the core of what this was, and they want the public to be confident. First of all, you had the public safety concerns of a public explosion. But additionally, there was a lot of stuff online last week suggesting that this was not what it appeared to be and that the police were lying. So the police and the ATF and the FBI wanted to get out and answer those questions.
Do some transparency. Thanks so much for bringing us up to speed. This is ABC's chief investigative reporter, Josh Margolin. It's 3:50. We have your traffic and weather together now, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky, all yours.
Well, for those who are headed southbound I-15 in Salt Lake County, you can expect typical slowdowns. That starts right as you're approaching 4500 south, almost to 90th south, and then again in Draper, approaching Bangerter as you're headed to 146 southwestbound on the 201. The construction slowdowns are in place, and that starts just before Redwood over to Bangerter Highway southbound on I-215's West Belt. It's already heavy and a little slow between I-80 and the 201 junction. A good drive up and down the I-15 corridor in Utah County. Steve?
Southbound Foothill Drive already busy between Macara Way and Foothill Village. Still looking good up and down I-15. No extra delays so far between downtown Salt Lake and Willard Bay. Got some backups on southbound 89 at Harrison Boulevard, also through Uinta. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I got dry skies on tap for you. Partly cloudy skies and temperatures in the upper 30s. You'll also notice some winds out of the east for Salt Lake, Davis, Weber, and even Box Elder counties. Strongest winds will be at the canyon mouths, could gust up to 55, maybe 60 miles an hour at times. 35 tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with east winds really diminishing. Mostly sunny 37 on Thursday. Friday, partly cloudy 39. Cloudy skies on your Saturday, 39 with a slight chance for snow showers. We keep that in the forecast on Sunday, 35. Mostly cloudy, 34 by Monday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
It's a phantom wind in Salt Lake City. We're out of the northwest now at 5 miles an hour. It's 43 degrees. Your 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jeff Caplan's Afternoon News, only on KSL News Radio.
My man is smooth like Barry and his voice got bass. A body like Arnold with a Denzel face. He's smart like a doctor with a real good rep. And when he comes home, he's relaxed.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
We're watching Utah's Money at KSL. The Washington Post has laid off 100 staff members. They work on the business side of the company. It comes the same time a lot of their star journalists are quitting. They're furious the Post's owner, Jeff Bezos, blocked an endorsement of Kamala Harris. Federal safety officials are investigating Tesla's self-driving feature, specifically reports of 4 crashes when people use their phones to summon their cars. Economists are expecting the numbers to fall, but job openings rose to 8.1 million in November. The Labor Department reports it's fewer openings than we had a year ago, but higher than levels before the pandemic. On Wall Street today, a down day. The Dow losing 178 points. It closed at 42,528. The S&P down 66. The Nasdaq losing 375 points. KSL News Time, 3:56. It's time for Cougar Tracks. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper.
BYU basketball is back at the comfortable confines of the Marriott Center, where they look to extend their 14-game home win streak dating back to last season tonight against Texas Tech. A couple days ago, BYU faced a defensive juggernaut in Houston. Tech prides itself on the offensive side of the ball, and Kevin Young knows it'll be a difficult challenge for his team.
2 totally different teams stylistically, so we'll have to have, some things dialed in for Texas Tech that weren't pertinent to Houston, but the rebounding obviously will be a big part of it, trying to keep them off the offensive glass, but I was talking to the coaches, and I'm about to go tell the players, this will be the best offensive team we've played to date. I think it's a mix of just really good talent, and then their coach does a really good job of keeping them organized offensively. They space the floor really well.
BYU versus Texas Tech tips off tonight at 7 p.m. here on KSL with digital coverage on KSLSports.com. With Cougar Tracks, I'm Mitch Harper on your legacy home of the BYU Cougars. KSL News Radio.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
James talks about his experience with 3-day kitchen and bath.
My wife and I had been talking for several years about getting our kitchen and bathroom remodeled. We'd had some bids actually been made. The thing that always put us off was that they were talking about 2 or 3 months to get all this work done. We heard about 3-day bath and kitchen. We thought that we'd give it a try. They spent 3 days on one of our items and 4 days on another, and the cost was about the same thing as all of the people gave us 3-month estimates for. They went out of their way to make sure that we were satisfied with everything when the job was finished. There's simply no question about the idea that they want satisfied customers and they want people who are pleased with their work.
It's about time. 3 days or less. At 3-day kitchen and bath.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
We still have crews working. They have just cleaned up this crash on the 21st South Freeway Junction at 5600 West. That right lane now open to traffic. It's a slow drive already southbound I-15 from about 3900 South through Midvale and again in Draper. Steve?
And right now, typical slowdowns if you're on Highway 89 in South Weber. Those travel from, looks like, Harrison Boulevard down to the I-84 ramps. Meantime, I-15 in great shape up and down from Salt Lake to Brigham City. Utah Auto Expo will have a vehicle for almost everything, and we certainly have a vehicle for your thing. Mountain America Expo Center, January 17th through the 20th, UtahAutoExpo.com for tickets. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Caplan. We're at 42 degrees. KSL's top story, the Supreme Court and members of Congress are gathered in the Capitol Rotunda, paying their respects to former President Jimmy Carter.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty.
House Speaker Mike Johnson and Vice President Kamala Harris delivered eulogies, and the U.S. Naval Academy Glee Club sang in the room where the casket will now lie in state. Maria Chaleos is live at the KSL National News Desk.
Jeff, a cannon salute as the body of the former president arrived at the Capitol. President Carter being honored by both leaders of Congress and Vice President Harris, and Senate Majority Leader John Thune spoke about Carter's long devotion to service after he left the White House in 1981.
For the remainder of his life, the longest post-presidency of any American president ever, he focused on making the lives of his fellow men better.
The 39th president will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda until Thursday when his funeral takes place at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. President-elect Trump says he's serious about the U.S. taking over the Panama Canal and Greenland.
People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
During a news conference at Mar-a-Lago, Mr. Trump also saying that he wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Meantime, a legal blow today for the president-elect. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
A New York appeals judge denying his request to delay his criminal sentencing. Judge Ellen Gesmer rejecting Trump's claim that the case should be delayed because of presidential immunity.
Sentencing is set for Friday. Live from the KSL National News Desk, I'm Maria Chaleos, KSL News Radio.
Another day of negotiations between the ski patrollers and Park City Mountain, and local businesses there are anxious for a resolution. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with details. Heather?
Jeff, Park City business owners say they're losing customers, and John Zenas with Park City Transport says visitors are canceling or not booking like they normally do this time of year.
Business is down, 50% or more as far as bookings goes for these upcoming weeks because of what's happening right now directly on the mountain. So it definitely has a downward spiral effect.
Mayor Nan Worrell, on behalf of the Park City Council, released a statement today calling for Vail Resorts to resolve this conflict without further delay. Meanwhile, Vail Resorts says they're negotiating in good faith and are committed to safely operating while in mediation. While Vail says lift lines have been under 10 minutes on average, Zena says his customers have been frustrated by the long waits and the amount of runs they're able to make during their visits. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Thanks, Heather. It looks like there won't be a guilty plea for the man accused of faking his own death to avoid rape charges in Utah. At a hearing today, Nicholas Rossi's lawyer and prosecutor said they were unable to reach a plea agreement. This clears the way for Rossi to stand trial starting in September. The oldest daughter of Ruby Franke is out with a memoir. Ruby Franke is serving a prison sentence for abusing her children while living with her mentor, Jody Hildebrandt, in southern Utah. Her daughter, Shari Franke, tells ABC's Eva Pilgrim her mom physically abused her at first, but that changed when Hildebrandt entered the picture.
I was like, oh, Jody, I don't like her, but maybe this is one good thing that's come from it, is she's not yelling, she's not hitting us anymore. But it did become more psychological. And in a way that was more damaging to me.
Hildebrandt was also convicted of child abuse after one of the Franke kids escaped the house and ran to a neighbor's house to plead for food and water. The Utah Health Commission has released its first report ever aimed at helping behavioral health across the state. The keys to improving it: accessibility.
The first one is to secure and stabilize funding, because behavioral health funding needs prioritization in the state budget process. Secondly, to expand crisis services, we need new receiving centers and additional mobile crisis outreach teams. Those mobile crisis teams make such a difference in our local communities when people are struggling.
That's Allie Isom, chair of the Utah Behavioral Health Commission. She told Utah's Noon News they're focused on increasing treatment capacity at the Utah State Hospital and supporting peer services. Researchers say if we're going to save the Great Salt Lake, we're going to have to cut our water use by 35%, and the majority of that water will have to come from farmers. KSL News Radio's Adam Small with details.
Researchers say this is because nearly 2/3 of the lake's upstream water is already being diverted away for other uses, primarily for hay and alfalfa farming. Lead author of the study, Brian Richter, tells me one potential option that could help is setting aside $100 million a year at the state level to compensate farmers for growing less crops and in turn using less water, which he says could help make farmers the heroes that help save the Great Salt Lake.
Richter says a program like that could cost the average Utahn $29 a year. KSL News Time 4:06. It's time for First Look Traffic. So, Ricky, how goes it?
Looks like we have some slowing on the transition ramp from westbound I-80 to go southbound I-215's westbound, and delays in Bangerter, in West Valley on Bangerter and Mountain View. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
So which is the safest part of the plane? Stay here. My Minute of News is on the way. Next.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home, your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org. Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station, as close as your pocket.
I usually go to the KSL app.
Because it's on your phone, you have such a wide ability to choose what you're listening to.
That's the only news app that I use.
Listen anytime, anywhere with the KSL News Radio app.
This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. The plane crash in South Korea killed 179 people. But
2 people miraculously surviving. A male crew member now receiving treatment in the ICU and a female crew member who is recovering.
they're still in the hospital, but you may have heard these survivors were flight attendants sitting at the very back of the plane. And perhaps the thought occurred to you the back of the plane might be the safest place to sit. Well, it is, but only if the plane is going to crash nose first. Look, this is a macabre discussion, and I should remind you that air travel is incredibly safe, even when the door comes off. But in the extremely rare instance when a plane crashes, there are so many different ways to go. If the plane goes nose first, you have to sit in the back. But if the wings hit first, they hold the jet fuel. They could explode, sit away from them. I talked to the one guy I know who's been in an air crash. My friend Tim Sheld.
Taking off from Kennedy Airport in New York City, a couple of hundred people on board, got off the ground ever so slightly, and then we heard a bang, and it came back down pretty violently. Something created a fire in the wing. The nose gear snapped.
The plane filled with smoke.
And nobody died.
There is literally no way to prepare. No statistical benefit to sitting in any particular part of the plane to ensure your survival. I know, it's a bleak discussion, but experts say what does increase your odds in a survivable crash is this.
Really pay attention to the flight attendants. They are there in case of emergency, and I saw them operate in one of the worst moments of my life, and they were truly heroic.
There's no correct place to sit, but keep that seatbelt tight to limit the G-forces on your body and brace exactly the way they tell you. Experts say that'll help, but it's more likely you'll be struck by lightning. But let's end this on a positive note. It's more likely that you'll win the lottery.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
And you probably don't even buy tickets. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
We've had a couple of new crashes on northbound I-15 in Salt Lake County. One just after 33rd South, the other one about 1300 South. Both have been moved out of traffic to the shoulder, but it is part of the busy and slow traffic going from South Salt Lake to 6 South downtown. Southbound I-15 delays are building. The first stretch goes from 3900 South to 72nd, and again from 114th South to Bluffdale, slowing westbound on the 201 Redwood Road to Bangerter. Michelle?
Delay southbound on Mountain View Corridor in West Valley between 201 and 3500 South. Bangerter Highway slow between California Avenue and 4100 South. More slowing due to construction westbound in Riverton between Redwood Road, approaching Redwood Road, I should say, and I-15 in Utah County slow in both directions in Linden. Steve?
No delays on north or southbound 15 right now between Salt Lake and Brigham City. Southbound 89's crowded, though, from Harrison Boulevard in spots down to the I-84 ramps through Uinta, plus a slow drive on southbound Foothill Drive between Wacara Way and 17 South. Get started on your dream kitchen or bath with bath countertops. Special financing for Bedrock Quartz for up to 18 months. Visit bedrockquartz.com for details. That's bedrockquartz.com. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
The wet weather clears out. We've got partly cloudy skies today with a high of 39. Gusty east winds are possible, especially late into Bountiful, where they could see gusts up to 60 miles an hour. 21 in the overnight, gusty east winds, especially at Canyon Mills, then diminishing into Wednesday afternoon. Look for a high of 35, mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
The stiffest wind we're seeing is in Ogden at 14 miles an hour. Not so bad. 42 degrees in Salt Lake City. You're listening to KSL News Radio, the home of Cougar Nation. If you missed it last night, Catch the podcast at kslnewsradio.com, brought to you by Central Bank. We're streaming live at kslnewsradio.com. This is Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. You just spent the past month putting your credit card number all over the internet. You've been clicking links, you get texts, supposedly from the Postal Service. Click here. It's stressful. You have to worry about ID theft, scammers, overseas hackers, and the answer is McAfee Total Protection. It's easy to install. It's like a warm, cozy blanket that helps keep the bad guys away. It allows you to live your life online worry-free. No more text scams or janky pop-ups. No more asking, should I click this? All you have to do for a worry-free online life is visit McAfee.com/online protection. Right now, get award-winning online protection for just $39.99 for your first year. McAfee.com/online protection, and a safe, secure, worry-free online life is yours. Just $39.99 for the first year. Cancel anytime. Terms apply. McAfee Total Protection.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? It seems impossible to find them. Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Movie Show is at Minky Couture in Layton this Friday, January 10th from 11 to 1. Join KSL News Radio and Minky Couture and get special discounts and savings on your favorite Minky Couture products. Looking for the best gift ever? That's what you get at Minky Couture, the original luxury blanket company. New this year at Minky are family pajamas, luxury robes, and snuggly sleeping bags. Save 50% this Friday only. For the Movie Show in Layton, use code MOVIE50 at MinkyCouture.com or any of the 6 Minky locations.
KSL News Time 4:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
no plea deal after all for Nicholas Rossi, the man accused of faking his own death to avoid rape charges in Utah. I'm KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce.
Second, the mayor of Park City is calling on Vail to finish the negotiations with the Park City Mountain Ski Patrol Union after a weekend of what she says was full of confusion and disruption. Third, our biggest traffic trouble spot.
2 different crashes on northbound I-15 in Salt Lake County, one after 33rd, another one near 1300 South. They're not blocking traffic, but we're definitely seeing curiosity slowdowns from 2100 South to downtown. Also some heavy and slow traffic now southbound on the West Belt, I-80 to the 201. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Decreasing light snow here along the Wasatch Front, but some gusty winds will develop overnight. I'm Kevin Eubank.
42 degrees and breezy at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios now. Our top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Former President Jimmy Carter returned to Washington, D.C. today. His casket carried into the U.S. Capitol, where it will lie in state until Thursday. At a ceremony, Senate Leader John Thune says the 39th President of the United States dedicated his life to serving others.
For the remainder of his life, the longest post-presidency of any American president ever, he focused on making the lives of his fellow men better.
Carter's funeral will be held at the National Cathedral Thursday. President Biden delivers the eulogy. Legal battles continue to play out for cases against Donald Trump. A Trump-appointed federal judge today overseeing the classified documents case temporarily blocked the Justice Department's release of the special counsel's final report. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
A remarkable legal victory for President-elect Donald Trump. Judge Aileen Cannon in Florida temporarily blocking a report from special counsel Jack Smith from being released to the public. In an order this morning, Cannon saying that release must wait until a separate federal court weighs a separate appeal from Trump's co-defendants.
In New York, sentencing day is still set for this Friday in Trump's hush money trial. A judge denied a request for a delay today. In Southern California, brush fires erupting, fueled by strong Santa Ana winds. Residents forced to evacuate after a fire broke out in Pacific Palisades near Santa Monica and Malibu. Megan Garman raced to get out with her daughter, and among those abandoning their vehicles.
Well, the smoke just got really bad, so I just started packing up all of our stuff, and we got in the car to go. And then all the cars were abandoned, so I had nowhere to go, so I just had to get out of my car and start walking. The smoke is so bad. I have no idea where we're going.
The brush fire in Palisades has already charred nearly 800 acres in just a matter of hours. The Santa Ana winds expected to be the strongest this week in more than a decade. You're listening to ABC News.
And now the KSL In-Depth. UDOT and the Department of Public Safety just released their annual road fatality report for last year. And there was one significant improvement of note. Teen deaths on Utah roads plunged by 50%. UDOT spokesperson John Gleason says they won't be satisfied till they hit zero.
In looking at the number of teenagers that lost their lives on our roads, last year was probably the most optimistic year that we've had. Still 19 teens losing their lives. That's, you can't even put that into words, the grief that people are feeling, families. But it is cut in half from the year before, where we lost 38 teens on our roads. Traditionally, if you look back over the years, in 2022, we lost 32 teens, 2021, 34, 20, we saw 22 teens that lost their lives, and 19 it was 21. So really, last year was the fewest amount of teens that had lost their lives on Utah roads in almost the last decade, which is incredibly encouraging.
That's John Gleason from UDOT. You can find the full report on the Zero Fatalities website. KSL News Time 4:19. Now let's cover the trip you're on. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky, go ahead.
2 crashes northbound I-15, one just after 33rd South, another one about 1300 South. Both are out of traffic on the right shoulder, and we do have heavy and slow traffic through the area from South Salt Lake to downtown. Bigger delays on the southbound side, stretching from 33rd South to 72nd, and again from the Southtown Mall to Bluffdale. Also starting to see traffic getting busy and slow eastbound to I-80. That's from Bangerter over to I-215's West Belt. Michelle?
We're still looking at slowdown southbound for drivers on Mountain View Corridor. This is going between the 201 freeway down into West Valley. Bangerter Highway, that remains busy, slow between California Avenue and 4100 South. More slowing as you're headed westbound in the Riverton area as you're approaching Redwood Road due to construction. And for drivers on I-15, we have delays in Linden that are easing a little below freeway speeds near 1600 North. Steve?
Full speeds on 15 from downtown Salt Lake City up into Davis, Weber, and Box Elder counties this afternoon. Southbound 15 a little slow, Riverdale to Roy. This January, a fairy tale comes to life at the Capitol Theater as Utah Opera presents Hansel and Gretel. Don't miss this enchanting production, perfect for families and opera lovers alike. Steve Carlson at the KSL Traffic Center.
The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Kevin Eubank. I was bracing for a Wizard of Oz type situation and getting blown away. Where's all this wind? Somewhere else?
No, the wind has been whipping. It just wasn't where you were. How about 61 miles an hour in Farmington, 55? Weber Canyon, Farmington had a gust of 52. Kaysville to 45. So, again, the winds were whipping. It's not as prolonged of an event, so those winds have subsided just a bit. But we will see some gusty winds through the night and into early tomorrow morning, but we likely won't exceed those strong 60-mile-an-hour gusts we've already had. 21 overnight, mostly sunny, and 40 on Wednesday. Extra cold all week, 30s for highs, partly cloudy skies by the end of the week, and then a 30% chance of some light snow on Saturday and Sunday as a storm system brushes by northern Utah.
So the Wizard of Oz deal was elsewhere, a few miles up and down the road from where I am, and I missed out, which is okay.
Sure, Mary Poppins, whatever.
Listen, it's going to subside over the next few hours, over the next 12 hours?
No, the winds will continue overnight and into early tomorrow morning. Won't be as strong, but it will still be breezy throughout the night and morning, and then gone by afternoon tomorrow.
9 miles an hour in Salt Lake City right now. It's 42 degrees. Thanks, Kevin. KSL News Time, 422.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Hi, I'm Miley O'Keefe. In competitive gymnastics, flexibility and precision are crucial, and Les Olson IT knows how important flexibility and precision are to your business. It's why they deliver the very best IT security, office equipment, collaborative technology, and so much more. Let Les Olson IT's Perfect 10 service empower your business at lesolsonit.com.
Les Olson IT.
Are you taking GLP-1 injections like semaglutides, but wondering how you can keep the weight off long term? Or maybe the weight just isn't coming off as quickly as you thought it would? If you weren't given a specific food plan to follow, you might be at risk of putting the weight back on once the injections end. At SaltLakeCityFatLoss.com, our supervised nutrition plan could help support you and maximize your weight loss results now and empower you with the tools to keep the weight off long term once the injections end.
I'm Maria Chaleos. Do what I did. Lose up to a pound per day. Salt Lake City Fat Loss helped me burn off more than 40 pounds with their all-natural program. A new you in this new year. Just go to slcfatloss.com to learn more.
At slcfatloss.com, we offer a proven approach to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day without exercising or prepackaged foods or counting calories. Plus, our strategies can help you keep the weight off long term. Don't wait. Go to slcfatloss.com to schedule your free consultation. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
We're watching Utah's money at KSL. Another dock workers' strike could be on the horizon. Longshoremen are planning a walkout to protest machines replacing human labor. This is the same union that went on strike against East Coast ports back in October. AI startup Anthropic is getting ready to raise another $2 billion. That's chump change when it comes to artificial intelligence. The money would raise Anthropic's valuation to $60 billion. Gamers, NVIDIA has announced a brand new series of graphic cards, the GeForce 50 series, tons faster than the 40 series, and they'll use AI. The price tag anywhere on the low end from $600 to high end $2,000 to stick into your computer. On Wall Street, down day, the Dow losing 178 points. It closed at 42,528. The S&P down 66. The Nasdaq tumbling 375 points. KSL News Time 426. McDonald's is rolling back some of its diversity policies.
While the fast food giant says it will retire specific programs like pausing participation surveys from external groups and no longer setting representation targets, the company says it will continue with inclusion initiatives and that everyone is welcome under the Golden Arches. McDonald's also says that since 2021, it has reached gender pay equity at all levels of the company, and 25% of its total supplier spending goes to diverse-owned businesses.
ABC News correspondent Rebecca Jarvis, stay here. We have 2 crashes to tell you about on northbound I-15. Traffic is on the way. Next.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
The best parts of KSL News Radio are so easy to use in the car. Catch the biggest stories affecting Utah's communities throughout the morning. If you miss a newscast, the next one is just a few minutes away. Plus, we have traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s like clockwork. We try to make it easy for your commute, mornings and afternoons. Rely on KSL News Radio.
We have it right now. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky Meese has the latest.
We still have crews working on the one accident that remains northbound I-15 after 33rd South. It is out of traffic on the right shoulder. The one at 1300 South has been cleared, but we do have delays from South Salt Lake to downtown. Delays continue southbound I-15, 3500 South to Bluffdale. Michelle?
Overall, looking really good. I-15 in Utah County, Point of the Mountain to Provo. Still some slowdowns, though, if you're on Bangerter Highway in West Valley and then again in Riverton. Steve?
And no delays on I-15 either way right now between Salt Lake and Brigham City. Got some slowdowns still remaining. If you're traveling southbound 89, right there by the Walmart. Also through Uinta down the hill to I-84. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high of 39, gusty out of the east for Davis and Weber counties and the northeast corner of Salt Lake County. Overnight, cold 21, 35, and mostly sunny for your Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now in Ogden, 37 degrees, the wind at 13 miles an hour. In Provo, it's 40, wind out of the north at 9. The gustiest wind is in St. George, 50 degrees and cloudy, the wind there, 21 miles an hour.
You're listening to Jeff Caplan's Afternoon News
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM
and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30 at KSL. Jeff Caplan here. It's 43 degrees. KSL's top story. A plea deal has fallen apart in the Nicholas Rossi trial. He's the man prosecutors say faked his death and fled to Scotland rather than face rape charges here in Utah.
The record should reflect that Mr. Rossi is joining remotely from the county jail.
Nicholas Rossi appeared on video conference for today's hearing to meet the deadline to enter a plea deal. But his attorney, Daniel Diaz, says negotiations didn't work out.
They unfortunately haven't been fruitful. We already do have a trial date set for late September.
In October, Rossi admitted for the first time he really isn't Arthur Knight, the name he used when he was arrested in Scotland. In addition to rape charges in Utah County and sexual assault charges in Salt Lake County, Rossi faces accusations of assault, rape, and fraud from multiple states, Canada, and England. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
A teacher in the Alpine School District has been placed on administrative leave and arrested after being accused of downloading child pornography on a work computer. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reporting.
Arresting documents say an art teacher at Oak Canyon Junior High admitted to downloading the files and said he had even more explicit material at home. Rich Stoll with the Alpine School District says Travis Adamson was immediately placed on leave, and they are working with the Utah County Sheriff's Office.
All district employees undergo a criminal background check prior to beginning employment, and this employee had also.
Adamson reportedly used his school email address to download the files and told police he had been viewing this type of material over the last 5 to 6 years. Police documents say the teacher denies ever doing anything inappropriate with his students or other children. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
The nation's 39th president is being remembered at the nation's capital. Maria Chaleos is live at the KSL National News Desk.
Jeff, former President Jimmy Carter's casket arrived at the U.S. Capitol, where he will lie in state until Thursday. In a ceremony welcoming the 39th president, House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke about Carter's long devotion to service after he left the White House in 1981.
We all know that his care for humanity didn't stop at building homes. In the face of illness, President Jimmy Carter brought life-saving medicine. In the face of conflict, he brokered peace. In the face of discrimination, he reminded us that we are all made in the image of God.
Mr. Carter was also honored by the Senate Majority Leader and Vice President Kamala Harris. You're learning more details of the New Year's Day Cybertruck bomb attack on the Trump Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. At a news conference today, Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin said the suspect's digital footprint shows that he used ChatGPT artificial intelligence program to help plan the attack.
He's trying to figure out where to buy fireworks and how much of it to buy. He looks at the equivalence of those fireworks and how they compare to TNT and other types of explosive material.
The suspect also had a list of social grievances on his phone that included the current administration. A scary discovery on the U.S.-Mexico border on December 28th. Border officers at the Nogales, Arizona port of entry found a rocket launcher and 2 rocket-propelled grenades hidden in a car. They believe the launcher was intended to protect the cartels and their fentanyl production labs in Mexico. Live from the KSL National News Desk, I'm Maria Chaleos, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 4:34. We have breaking news on KSL. The only surviving victim of the West Valley City murder-suicide is recovering well in the hospital after he was reportedly shot in the head by his father. 18-year-old Shah Reh is a student at Granger High and was paid a visit by teachers and staff yesterday. In a post on Facebook, the high school says he'll be released soon. Reh's family was found dead in their home December 17th. Police believe that his father was the one to shoot 3 children, his wife, and then himself. A wind advisory is still in effect along the northern Wasatch Front. There's already been a gust of 61 miles an hour in Farmington. Ahead, we could experience canyon wind gusts up to 55. The advisory continues till early tomorrow morning. California is trying to put out a fast-moving wildfire in the Palisades. People are fleeing their homes, searching for places to go. The Palisades fire, which started hours ago, is already 800 acres. Megan Garman had to flee her home with her daughter. She says she's never seen anything like this.
Never. And I've lived in Malibu my whole life, and I've seen tons of fires. This is nothing. I'm scared for my life. It's terrifying.
Growing in wind, the wind is gusting up to 30 miles an hour in Los Angeles. KSL News Time 4:35. Last year's report card on road fatalities is in. 1/3 of the deaths on the roads were pedestrians, bikers, and motorcyclists. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is joining us with the story.
UDOT and the Department of Public Safety say the message is clear. As drivers, we have to look out more for the people we share the roads with.
The motorcyclists, the pedestrians, the bicyclists, those people that don't have the protections of a vehicle, they're at the greatest risk of severe injury or death because they don't have those protections.
That was UDOT spokesperson John Gleason, who believes it starts with all of us to turn that stat around.
We as drivers can improve, but also, for the Department of Transportation, looking at engineering solutions that will improve safety and DPS as well with enforcement.
The full report can be found on our website. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic now. Ricky Meese is here. What's going on?
A new crunch on the freeway. This is southbound I-215's westbound at California Avenue. Left lanes blocked to traffic. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
My Minute is on the way next. Stay here.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and over the years, you've heard me praise the Connecticut soft water systems. You've heard that so often, you might be tempted to chuck a shoe at your radio. Well, hang on, because I've got some great news. Get this, Connecticut will pay you $50. I'm not kidding on this. They'll pay you $50 to buy a competing water softener from another dealer. Ready for the rules, though? Well, they're pretty simple. Invite Connecticut of Utah to your home for a free estimate on a Connecticut water softener. If within 60 days of hearing them out, you buy any other system from any other water softener dealer, Connecticut of Utah will fork over $50. That's how sure they are that after hearing them out, you won't settle for anything less than a Connecticut water softener. Now, this offer does expire in 30 days, so don't delay. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com. Tell them Doug sent you.
Bigger stories demand more accountability, more experience, more trust.
If it's like an election day or we're expecting some bad weather, KSL presents the story. Unbiased. It's a good local source.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. What's the most popular pie in America? I'm not counting pizza, just, pie. Flaky crust hiding a sweet filling. What's the most popular? I'll give you a hint. It's as American as apple pie. So why is it that the pie Utah Googles the most is meat pie? Look, I've been here 15 years. Nobody's ever served me a pie with McNuggets in it. The only place I seem to find meat pie is on the Great British Baking Show, which my wife leaves on every single night till she falls asleep. I'm now an expert. Mince pie, shepherd's pie, the plowman's lunch. But now I've just heard about a pie you've probably never heard of. So bizarre. They're never going to put it on the British Baking Show. You ever hear of Stargazy pie? This English pie features a flaky crust filled with baked fish, eggs, and potatoes. Which sounds like it might be good, but as a finishing flourish, the baker sticks a half dozen dead fish heads into the pie. So these fish heads are popping up out of the crust, staring at you, their lifeless eyes gazing toward the beyond. You half expect them to start singing.
Folks who fish beware.
Yes?
You may not know exactly what goes on down there.
Thank you, fish heads. Stargazy pie. Please don't Google it. I don't want it to turn up on the Utah list of best pies. You'll see the fish heads are gazing toward the stars. That's why it's called Stargazy. And if they bake it on the British Bake Off, I'm going to have nightmares.
And that's the end of this fishy tale.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky Meese is here.
On I-215's West Bell, we have UDOT using the push bar method to get these vehicles moved out of traffic with the crash on southbound I-15 near the 201 junction, but left lanes are still blocked. Stop-and-go delays building back to I-80. Slow down southbound I-15, South Salt Lake to Bluffdale, and northbound I-15, heavy and slow, 3300 south to the 6 South exit downtown. Michelle?
Looking at a fresh crash, northbound I-15 near Lehigh's Main Street off to the left for drivers on Mountain View Corridor. Southbound delays between the 201 freeway about 3500 south, and then Bangerter is slow in West Valley again as you're headed westbound toward Redwood Road in Riverton. Steve?
Northbound 15 getting busy now at 6 North in spots up to the North Interchange into North Salt Lake. After that, good speeds all the way through Davis, Weber into Box Elder counties. Northbound Highway 89 seeing slowdowns now from SR 193 up to I-84, and typical slowdowns on the southbound side from looks like Harrison Boulevard and through Uinta down to the 84 Rams. Get started on your dream kitchen or bath countertops with special financing for Bedrock Quartz for up to 18 months. Visit bedrockquartz.com for details. That's bedrockquartz.com. Steve Carlson at the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny skies today and temperatures back in the low 40s. Some very strong winds for Davis and Weber counties, and those gusty east winds will continue overnight, although not as strong as we have seen them today. Overnight low will be 21, 40 and mostly sunny on Wednesday, 34 mostly sunny on Thursday, and then clouds move in for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 30% chance over the weekend for some scattered light snow. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
We're at 42 degrees and developing news on KSL News Radio. This Pacific Palisades fire in California is becoming ever more serious. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered. 1,200 acres in a densely populated area are burning. To give you an idea where this is, if you were standing on the famous Santa Monica Pier and simply look to your right, that's the Pacific Palisades. Let's go live to a news conference with the Los Angeles Fire Department.
West of Seabreeze Drive and Surfside Drive. Our evacuation center is the Westwood Recreation Center located at 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard in LA. The population threatened is approximately 25,748. Households threatened is approximately 10,367. Structures threatened are approximately 13,208. At this point, we feel very blessed at this point that there's no injuries that are reported. We do have reports of multiple structures that are damaged. Since the beginning of this fire, I've been in constant communication with Mayor Bass, as well as other city leadership, who's working very, very closely. As you can see, this entire entity behind me, we're working seamlessly and closely to ensure that we are protecting lives and property first. So with that, we'll go ahead and introduce the next speaker.
That was Chief Kristen Crowley of LA Fire, and let's listen.
So good afternoon. My name is Anthony Maroney. I'm the County of Los Angeles Fire Department Chief. Shortly after the start of the Palisades fire, LA County Fire did assist the City of Los Angeles with a first alarm brush assignment. At 11:30 hours this morning, our LA County Fire Department went into unified command with the City of Los Angeles, and at 12:30, our CAL FIRE partners from the state went into unified command with not only LA City Fire, LA County Fire, and LAPD. Currently, LA County Fire is providing aerial resources to fight this brush fire, including our Firehawk helicopters, our CH-47, part of our nighttime QRF resource that we have, in addition to our CL-415 Super Scoopers. We also have 3 engine strike teams assigned and almost 100 LA County Fire personnel.
You can hear how serious the situation is in Los Angeles, where the Palisades fire is burning 1,200 acres. Evacuations ordered. The problem is they have northeast winds between 25 and 40 miles an hour as this fire burns, with gusts up to 80. The Santa Ana winds along the Malibu coast This is just to the north of the Santa Monica Pier, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. KSL News Time 4:45. The three things you need to know this hour first.
Park City's economy is being hit hard because of the ongoing ski patroller strike. One company says their business is down more than 50% during what should be peak tourism season. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson.
Second, we're learning this afternoon the only survivor of the West Valley City murder-suicide is recovering well in the hospital after he was reportedly shot in the head by his father. Third, our biggest traffic trouble spot.
A crash on southbound I-15 after California Avenue and the 201 junction has been moved over to the left shoulder. It's a tight squeeze, though, and we still have solid delays back past the I-80 junction. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine with some gusty winds in Davis County. I'm Kevin Eubank.
Breezy 41 at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Now our top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Southern California, a brush fire has erupted in the Pacific Palisades near L.A. Santa Ana winds fueling those flames and forcing evacuations. ABC's Alex Stone is in Glendale.
We're talking winds potentially of 100 miles an hour. That this is about as severe as the winds we're ever going to see here in Southern California. This is about life safety right now. This is about getting engines in there, saving lives of those who have been trapped. We've been getting reports of people who are trapped in their homes and needing rescue, and firefighters having to go in. There was even an LAPD officer who was trapped, surrounded by fire, and they had to send in a rescue helicopter to look for that LAPD officer.
Ceremonies honoring former President Jimmy Carter shifted from Atlanta to Washington, D.C. today. His casket lying in state at the U.S. Capitol until Thursday's funeral. A judge today rejected a motion by Donald Trump's attorneys to delay sentencing hearing in the hush money trial. A hearing is set for this Friday. This is ABC News.
And time for the KSL In-Depth. There will be no plea deal for Nicholas Rossi, the man accused of faking his own death to avoid rape charges here in Utah. Joining me live, KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. So, Greg, this was Rossi's final opportunity to get a plea deal?
Well, nothing's ever final, Jeff, and what'll happen is this. The deal fell apart, and you recall the Hunter Biden deal did the same thing a couple of years ago. I think the parties are still negotiating. I think they're still trying to work something out, but whatever deal they had on the table, one side or the other just couldn't agree to it, and we don't know exactly which one that was, whether it was the defense or the prosecution, but there was no meeting of the minds, and at the last minute, everything sort of fell apart.
This case has been bizarre. This court case has been bizarre. Can you tell us, you've been following this, a little bit about Nicholas Rossi's conduct when he does show up in court?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a real character. I mean, if you recall, he actually faked his own death. He was gone for a long, long time. They had to extradite him. He's not really paying attention to the court proceedings. He's sort of playing games, acting like he's got some mental health issues. I mean, it's a real mess. But I think that the parties are going to sort it out eventually.
Okay, and so where do they land when they've sorted this out? The idea is to avoid a trial because there's risk that he could be acquitted?
Oh, no. I don't think there's a risk of that. I mean, there's a risk that I think the problem is, Jeff, anytime you have a case like this where you have victims, you don't want them to testify. You don't want them to have to come in. It's been a long, long time, and they're trying to avoid that. Of course, he's trying to avoid spending the rest of his life in prison, so there's got to be some give and take. But I think what will happen is the judge will just set the trial and keep everybody's feet to the fire, the prosecution and the defense, and say, look, if you guys don't come to a deal by June 1st or whatever the date is, we're going to go to trial. That usually forces a deal.
Now, here in our area, this is only one place where Nicholas Rossi is facing legal trouble, right?
Yeah, that's right. When he's done here, he's got other cases he's going to face. It's like the Lori Vallow case. She got tried up in Boise, Idaho. Now she's down in Arizona. So different jurisdictions will take their piece of him and work that out. But right now, I think that they've agreed that the most serious charges and the ones that need the most immediate attention are here in the state of Utah. And I think, Jeff, that those will be the ones to be sorted out first.
So for now, the plea deal is off the table. And thanks, our KSL legal analyst, Greg Skordas. It's 4:49. Let's get your home traffic and weather together. Brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
Stop and go delays. Southbound I-215, we have this accident Right about 20th South, it's over to the left shoulder, but making for slow backups to the I-80 junction, and then traffic also building from there into the Rose Park area, southbound I-15, heavy and slow from downtown to the 201 I-80 junction, and again from 4500 South through Bluffdale, northbound I-15, heavy and slow, Murray into 2100, 1300 South. Michelle?
Slow and go traffic on Banketer Highway in West Valley, affecting both directions, and construction delays westbound approaching Redwood Road. Pioneer Crossing, westbound delays heading towards Saratoga Springs, and I-15 in Utah County looking in good shape, but they're still working on the crash northbound near Lehigh's Main Street on the left shoulder. Steve?
Got delays on the southbound 215's West Side Belt at 700 North right now down to I-80. Northbound 15 pretty busy, slow and go in spots from Salt Lake up into North Salt Lake, and you have full speeds up to Willard Bay and beyond. And looks like southbound 15 good to go back the other way to the Salt Lake Valley. Southbound 89 slowdowns at Harrison Boulevard, and northbound also slow at SR 193. Is the IRS harassing you, garnishing your wages, or threatening asset seizure? Get immediate relief. Contact Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Steve Carlson at KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast starts off with sunshine and a little bit above normal temperatures, but it's going to end off a little cooler. Tonight, 21 for the low, still some gusty winds through Davis and Weber County, 40 degrees and mostly sunny for the high on Wednesday. 34 mostly sunny on Thursday, partly cloudy skies Friday, and then mostly cloudy skies Saturday, Sunday. We've got a couple of weak little disturbances going by, 30% chance of some light snowfall Saturday, Sunday, better chance in the northern mountains. Then we're back to some partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies to start the week with highs in the 30s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
Your 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. We have a 10-mile-an-hour breeze. Just beautiful. The mountain snow has turned golden. The sun's about to set. It's 39 degrees in Salt Lake.
Jeff Caplan's Afternoon News, only on KSL News Radio.
Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. She's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't.
Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The Bridge Loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call at 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month. And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
Bear Lake provides an experience that every family member can enjoy, whether it's snowmobiling, snowshoeing, ice fishing, or just cozying up by the fire. Bear Lake in the winter is a great escape with your family. Dive into 3 of the most beautiful cross-country and snowshoeing trails in Utah. Play on 350 miles of backcountry snowmobile trails. Or try your hand at ice fishing. Bear Lake is where memories are made and joy is shared. Visit bearlake.org and make your vacation plans today. And don't forget, the monster is coming, and it wants you and your family. And that's great news, really, because it's time for the Bear Lake Monster Winterfest, January 24th and 25th. Winterfest is all about an incredible celebration of winter and all the fun it brings. Cisco Disco, Monster Plunge, Monster 5K, the Chili Cook-Off, Trails Day, and a cardboard boat regatta. Bear Lake awaits. Visit BearLakeMonsterWinterfest.com for pre-registration times and locations.
Hi, Susan. We haven't seen or heard from you.
Cold.
We would like to locate Joyce.
The mysteries that made podcast history
Cherie Warren disappeared.
are now together for free at KSLPodcasts.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, the host of Cold. Join me for Season 1, The Susan Powell Case Files, Season 2, Justice for Joyce, and Season 3, The Search for Cherie. Listen anytime for free at KSLPodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're watching Utah's money at KSL News Radio. Hey, can you give me a moment? I apologize. I just lost my place. We have important things to tell you. Getty Images is buying Shutterstock, which would create a stock image company worth $3.7 billion. The merger comes as both companies face competition from artificial intelligence images. The combined company will keep the Getty name. Johnson & Johnson has published a Phase 3 study indicating their cancer treatment is keeping with those with lung cancer alive at least a year longer than their competitors. And on Wall Street, the Dow is down 178, the S&P down 66, the NASDAQ losing 375 points.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? It seems impossible to find them. Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Mees.
A crash on southbound I-15 near the 201 junction, over to the left, but backing traffic past 7th North. Delays southbound I-15 downtown to 2100 South, and again from 3900 South through Draper. Michelle?
Intermittent slowing on the 201 freeway westbound between I-15 and 7200 West for drivers in Utah County. Traffic being affected on I-15 both directions between American Fork and Linden. Steve?
Northbound 15 delays continue from 33rd South up to the North 215 interchange. Also southbound 15 slow at Antelope Drive in Davis County. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you're getting the canyon winds, they should diminish tonight. We're headed down to 21 for tomorrow. Sunshine again. Expect a high of 38 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good evening. This is the 5 o'clock report. 20 minutes of uninterrupted news, commercial free. I'm Jeff Caplan, KSL's top story. It's the start of 3 days of memorials in Washington, D.C. for former President Jimmy Carter. His flag-adorned coffin arrived at the Capitol right around 3 p.m., and former President Carter will now lie in the Capitol Rotunda until Thursday. Maria Chaleos is live at the KSL National News Desk.
Saying goodbye to our 39th president, saluting his life of service. President Jimmy Carter now being honored in our nation's capital. In a ceremony welcoming the 39th president, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke about Carter's political legacy.
In the wake of Watergate, Jimmy Carter passed historic ethics legislation to help rebuild America's faith in government.
Thousands of people are expected to pay their respects over the next few days as President Carter lies in state in the Capitol Rotunda. His funeral will be Thursday at the National Cathedral. President-elect Trump says he's serious about the U.S. taking over the Panama Canal and Greenland.
People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
During a news conference at Mar-a-Lago, Mr. Trump also saying he wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Meantime, a legal blow today for the president-elect. ABC's Olivia Rubin has more.
A New York appeals judge denying his request to delay his criminal sentencing. Judge Ellen Gesmer rejecting Trump's claim that the case should be delayed because of presidential immunity.
Sentencing is set for Friday. Live from the KSL National News Desk, I'm Maria Chaleos, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 5:02, and a developing story we're following at KSL. A brush fire that started this morning right outside of Los Angeles is now forcing evacuations. LA's Fire Department Chief Kristen Crowley gave an update on the Palisades fire moments ago.
First LAFD Resources reported initially a 10-acre fire with 40-mile-per-hour winds and alignment heading towards the west or towards the ocean. The LAFD then requested all resources, including strike teams and aircraft from assisting agencies. We then went into an aggressive attack and focused our efforts on fire life safety operations, beginning with evacuations. Currently, the fire is at 1,261 acres and growing.
She says thankfully nobody's been injured, fanned by the gusting Santa Ana winds. This is just north of the famous Santa Monica Pier. The ski patrollers at Park City Mountain Resort are still striking, and local businesses say they're feeling the impact. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with details. Heather?
Jeff, John Zenas with Park City Passport says they've seen more than a 50% drop in bookings because of the strike, and they have a lot of people calling to ask whether they should cancel their trips.
I think Vail needs to hear it loud and clear. This isn't about Vail. This is about the people outside of Vail that have livelihoods depend on, these tourists and these winter guests.
Mayor Nan Worrell released a statement today on behalf of the Park City Council, urgently calling on Vail Resorts to immediately take action to conclude negotiations. Vail Resorts says they're working hard to reach an agreement and continue operating safely during the strike. They say lift lines have been under 10 minutes on average this week, but Zenas says the customers he's been serving have continued to complain about how few runs they're actually able to get in on their vacations. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
It looks like there won't be a guilty plea from the man accused of faking his own death to avoid rape charges in Utah. At a hearing today, Nicholas Rossi's lawyer and prosecutor said they were unable to reach a plea agreement. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas told us moments ago, while this deal wasn't finalized, there could be another one on the table in the future.
The deal fell apart, and you recall the Hunter Biden deal did the same thing a couple of years ago. I think the parties are still negotiating. I think they're still trying to work something out. But whatever deal they had on the table, one side or the other just couldn't agree to it.
Rossi is set to stand trial starting in September. A West Jordan man is facing an attempted murder charge for stabbing a relative that he accused of snitching. Javier Rafael Pedregon Magana allegedly attacked the victim on Christmas Day. He told police that there was a hit out on the victim, his own relative, for $25,000 because he's a snitch who survived and has stitches. KSL News Time, 5:05. First look traffic on the 5 o'clock report. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a KSL traffic trooper reporting an accident blocking traffic northbound Mountain View corridor at 126 South in Riverton. Delays southbound I-215's west belt from 1100 north all the way down to the 201 junction where we have an accident that's been over to the left. And also a KSL traffic trooper reporting a vehicle fire. This is southbound I-15 south of Antelope Drive. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Thanks, Ricky. Wind is whipping across the northern Wasatch Front this afternoon. A wind advisory is in effect from Layton to Bountiful.
About 61 miles an hour in Farmington, 55. Weber Canyon, Farmington had a gust of 52. Kaysville to 45. So, again, the winds were whipping. It's not as prolonged of an event, so those winds have subsided just a bit. But we will see some gusty winds through the night and into early tomorrow morning, but we likely won't exceed those strong 60-mile-an-hour gusts we've already had.
KSL meteorologist Kevin Eubank there. He says the canyon wind will continue overnight into early tomorrow. The oldest daughter of convicted child abuser Ruby Franke is now telling her story. Shari Franke sat down with ABC's Eva Pilgrim to talk about the abuse she suffered growing up.
Around 5, 6, Ruby was really physical. Whether it was a slap to the lip or a slap to the cheek. When I would practice the piano, her hand would slam and it was really scary.
Shari says her mom changed when she started spending time with family counselor Jody Hildebrandt, and the abuse turned more psychological. Both Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke are serving prison time for child abuse. The Utah Health Commission has released its first annual report on behavioral health. Ali Isom, chair of the Utah Behavioral Health Commission, was on Utah's Noon News talking about their recommendations.
So we've made in our first report recommendations to focus on increasing access to care, especially crisis services and peer support.
The commission says Utah needs more mobile crisis teams. Researchers are saying we need to cut our water use by more than a third to save the Great Salt Lake. It's not all on you. The bulk of the cuts would have to come from farmers.
The new study published in the journal Environmental Challenges says more than 60% of all the Great Salt Lake's upstream water is being diverted away before it ever reaches the lake, with the lion's share of it going to hay and alfalfa farming. Lead author of the study, Brian Richter, tells me we need to cut that water use by 35% to get the lake back to a healthy level.
We're hoping that everybody will see that we really need to step up.
Richter and the other researchers also threw out some possible options to help make that happen. For example, he says Utah lawmakers could set aside $100 million a year towards compensating farmers to cut their water use. That, by the way, would not even account for a whole 1% of the state's yearly budget. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 5:08. This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. The plane crash in South Korea killed 179 people. But
2 people miraculously surviving. A male crew member now receiving treatment in the ICU and a female crew member who is recovering.
They're still in the hospital, but you may have heard these survivors were flight attendants sitting at the very back of the plane. And perhaps the thought occurred to you the back of the plane might be the safest place to sit. Well, it is, but only if the plane is going to crash nose first. Look, this is a macabre discussion, and I should remind you that air travel is incredibly safe, even when the door comes off. But in the extremely rare instance when a plane crashes, there are so many different ways to go. If the plane goes nose first, you have to sit in the back. But if the wings hit first, they hold the jet fuel. They could explode, sit away from them. I talked to the one guy I know who's been in an air crash. My friend Tim Sheld.
Taking off from Kennedy Airport in New York City, a couple of hundred people on board, got off the ground ever so slightly, and then we heard a bang, and it came back down pretty violently. Something created a fire in the wing. The nose gear snapped.
The plane filled with smoke.
And nobody died.
There is literally no way to prepare. No statistical benefit to sitting in any particular part of the plane to ensure your survival. I know, it's a bleak discussion, but experts say what does increase your odds in a survivable crash is this.
Really pay attention to the flight attendants. They are there in case of emergency, and I saw them operate in one of the worst moments of my life, and they were truly heroic.
There's no correct place to sit, but keep that seatbelt tight to limit the G-forces on your body. Embrace exactly the way they tell you. Experts say that'll help, but it's more likely you'll be struck by lightning. But let's end this on a positive note. It's more likely that you'll win the lottery.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
And now traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky, the latest?
It's a slow drive on southbound I-15. A lot of it from downtown to 2100 South is easing, but not from South Salt Lake through Draper. And then for those who are traveling southbound I-215's West Belt, speeds are improving, but the delays are not clear. It is bogged down from 12th North down to the 201 junction, where we had an earlier accident. Over to the left, eastbound I-80, heavy and slow, Bangerter Highway to I-215. Michelle?
Northbound Mountain View corridor closed at 126 South, according to a KSL traffic trooper. Prior to that, we have slowing southbound as you're approaching 3500 South. Bangerter Highway, we have delays there as well. Slow and go traffic through West Valley, and then again, continuing construction, slowing you down as you're making your way westbound toward Redwood Road. I-15 in Utah County still looking pretty good, but we do have slowdowns in both directions in the American Fork Pleasant Grove area. Steve?
Northbound 15 pretty busy this afternoon. Delays start at 33rd South up to the North 215 interchange, with that crash in the mix lingering at 13th South on the right side. Good speeds into Davis County and Weber as well. Looks like that truck fire is out, but delays are there if you're traveling southbound 15 at Antelope Drive, and some delays on northbound Legacy through Centerville. At the Utah Expo, we have a vehicle for almost everything, and we certainly have a vehicle for your thing. Mountain America Expo Center, January 17th through the 20th. AutoExpoUtah.com for tickets. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
As we head through the 5 o'clock hour, we're looking at mostly sunny skies and temperatures in the upper 30s. We'll slide down into the mid-30s for 6 o'clock and low 30s for 7 and 8. Ultimate lows will be in the low 20s under clear skies. With your hourly forecast on the 5 o'clock report, I'm Kevin Eubank.
The breeze at 9 miles an hour. It's 39 degrees in Salt Lake City. Tomorrow we're going to reach to 38. KSL News Time 512. A frightening discovery is now coming to light along the U.S.-Mexico border.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers often make surprising discoveries as they search vehicles along the border. But at the Nogales, Arizona port of entry, officers found a rocket launcher and 2 rocket-propelled grenades hidden in a car, according to the port director. The discovery was made on December 28th. They believe the rocket launcher was intended to protect the cartels and their fentanyl production labs in Mexico. Alex Stone, EBC News.
No more fact-checkers at Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. Parent company Meta claims it's to protect free speech. Instead, they're moving toward a crowdsourced fact-checking program like the one used on X. Amy Zhang is a professor at the University of Washington and used to work on Twitter's community notes.
The timing of this kind of happening on the inauguration and with the election of Trump suggests that bringing it up now is sort of in response to political interests.
The Wall Street Journal reports Meta donated $1 million to President-elect Trump's inaugural fund. The company joins fellow tech giants Amazon and OpenAI's chairman, Sam Altman, donating millions. Folk singer Peter Yarrow from the legendary trio Peter, Paul, and Mary has passed away.
Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea.
Yarrow was the writer of the beloved song, Puff the Magic Dragon. He was diagnosed with bladder cancer 4 years ago. He died surrounded by loved ones. Yarrow was 86 years old. KSL News Time 5:14 and trending on social media. The internet's been buzzing the last few days about a possible celebrity engagement. Zendaya and Tom Holland are reportedly getting married. She was seen at the Golden Globes this week sporting a massive diamond on her ring finger. TMZ reports that sources close to the couple say the proposal happened between Christmas and New Year's. The source says it was a family affair at her family's home. The couple's been dating since 2021, a few years after meeting on the set of their first film together, Spider-Man: Homecoming. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
former President Jimmy Carter's casket has arrived at the U.S. Capitol, where he will lie in state until Thursday. I'm KSL News Radio's Jessica Lowell.
Second, there will not be a guilty plea from the man accused of faking his death to avoid rape charges here in Utah. At a hearing today, Nicholas Rossi's lawyer and prosecutors said they were unable to reach a plea agreement. The trial's in September. Third, our biggest traffic trouble spot.
Some slowdowns northbound I-15 passing the south interchange through Murray, but the longest stretch of delay will go from 3900 south to the north interchange. Also heavy and slow westbound I-215 south belt in spots going through Cottonwood Heights. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny skies with above normal temperatures, and the trend will continue tomorrow. I'm Kevin Eubank.
39 at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Now our top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Las Vegas investigators say the New Year's Day truck bomber at the Trump Hotel got artificial intelligence help. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Sheriff Kevin McMahill.
We have clear evidence in this case now that the suspect used ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, to help plan his attack.
Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin.
He's trying to figure out where to buy fireworks and how much of it to buy. He looks at the equivalence of those fireworks and how they compare to TNT and other types of explosive material.
A laptop, cell phone, and watch are still under review. A mixed day for President-elect Trump. An appellate-level judge in New York City denied Trump's request to delay sentencing in his hush money trial. A federal judge doesn't want the public to see the special counsel's final report in the classified documents case.
Judge Aileen Cannon in Florida temporarily blocking a report from special counsel Jack Smith from being released to the public. In an order, Cannon saying that release must wait until a separate federal court weighs a separate appeal from Trump's co-defendants.
ABC's Olivia Rubin. The National Transportation Safety Board launched an investigation into 2.5 million Teslas. It comes after reports of crashes that Tesla didn't report involving Tesla technology that enables drivers to remotely command the vehicle to return to them or move to another location from a phone app. There are plenty of us who remember this little ditty from times long past.
The magic dragon.
And his publicist says singer-songwriter Peter Yarrow passed away in New York City on Tuesday. Today, bladder cancer. He was the Peter in Peter, Paul, and Mary, co-wrote their most enduring song, Puff the Magic Dragon. Might have been about marijuana use. They had 6 top 10 singles during an incredible run of success in the 60s, 2 #1 albums, and won 5 Grammys. Peter Yarrow was 86. You're listening to ABC News.
And now the in-depth on KSL. The family of a woman found murdered in Bluffdale in the back seat of her ex-boyfriend's car on New Year's Eve. The family is speaking out for the first time. KSL TV's Garna Mejia has the KSL exclusive.
Summer Roney's family is preparing for her funeral. They're devastated and heartbroken, but they wanted to honor her life and humanize what happened to her. Now, on New Year's Eve, an officer saw 40-year-old Jacob Johnson pull into a gas station just after midnight. In the backseat of Johnson's car, the officer saw 30-year-old Roney's lifeless body. Police suspect Johnson killed Roney at his home in Harriman. Their family thinks it was hours later that Johnson pulled into the gas station. Today, Roney's big sister, Michelle Tishner, is breaking her silence to advocate for her and seek justice.
I just want her to be remembered, and seeing all the news articles that, that somebody was found in the back of the car. She's more than that. She's my sister, and she's just an amazing human being.
Now, Tishner says she wants Roney to be remembered for her goodness and love of others, including her family, friends, and co-workers. Roney and Johnson were in a sporadic relationship for about 3.5 years. Roney's family thinks she was trying to break up with him the day that Johnson killed her. Now, the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office is expected to review this case and file formal charges later this week.
That's KSL TV's Garna Mejia. Tune in to KSL TV Live at 6 o'clock to hear more about Roney and her life and new details about the case. KSL News Time 5:19 now. Your traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky, what's up?
We still have some leftover heavy and slow traffic southbound I-215's West Belt between 12th North and the 201 junction where we had an earlier accident over to the left. Southbound I-15 remains bogged down between downtown and I-80 201 about 2100 south, and then a long stretch of delays starting just before 4500 south, almost to the point of the mountain. Some heavy and slow traffic westbound on I-215 South Belt approaching the Fort Union area over to 1300 east. Michelle?
Heavy traffic southbound SR 36 between Lake Point and Mills Junction for drivers on Mountain View Corridor. We have a couple of trouble spots. First is northbound approaching 126 south, seeing some sizable delays there, and then southbound going between the 201 freeway and about 3500 south in West Valley. Looking into Utah County, we're seeing slowdowns on southbound I-15 American Fork into Linden, also delays on Pioneer Crossing and Lehigh's Main Street. Steve?
And we still have a crash clearing right now, northbound 15 just past 33rd South. That's adding to the delays from there up into North Salt Lake. After that, full speeds up to Brigham City. Southbound I-15 in Davis County got some slowdowns there at Antelope Drive. And southbound 89 is still tight between Harrison Boulevard and I-84 in spots. Advanced Window Products offers Graper window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL, advancedwindows.com. Steve Carlson, the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL 7-day forecast starts off with plenty of sunshine, mostly sunny skies, and 40 for the high on Wednesday. 34 mostly sunny on Thursday, and then we'll bring in some clouds. Partly cloudy skies Friday, mostly cloudy skies Saturday, Sunday. About a 30% chance of some light snowfall over the weekend here in northern Utah. Then we're back to some sunshine and mid-30s for the early part of next week. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
A breezy 37 degrees, your 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna.
Jeff Caplan's Afternoon News.
If you want my future, forget my past. If you wanna get with me, better make it fast. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. If you wanna be my lover.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Prime Corn is dedicated to reducing food waste and insecurity by promoting sustainable food practices. Through education, cooking classes, and community initiatives, they make wholesome, accessible food available to our Salt Lake neighbors. Owner and chef Wendy Juarez joins us with more.
Millions of people in America face food insecurity. While a large portion of the food supply, around 40%, ends up in landfills each year, this waste contributes to environmental issues and highlights how food is often not used as efficiently as it once was. According to RTS.com, the average American family of 4 throws away $1,600 worth of produce annually. Prime Corn is committed to addressing these issues by making wholesome, accessible foods available to Salt Lake neighbors. We aim to promote better habits and sustainable practices, showing that there are many ways to repurpose food without making significant sacrifices. We contribute to the solution by offering education, affordable recipes, and community-driven initiatives. Our services include cooking classes, mindful eating experiences, catering, and dining space inside the Bison Night Cafe. Through these efforts, we help foster a more sustainable and mindful food culture in our community.
Learn how you can reduce food waste by visiting primecornfood.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Imagine a currency that has true value, a currency that's local, protects your wealth, and resists inflation. Now imagine that currency is anchored to the stability of gold. Introducing Goldbacks, a currency made of 24-karat gold, accepted at over 800 businesses in Utah. Don't just imagine it. Visit alpinegold.com to start spending in gold. Use promo code RADIO to get free shipping on orders of over $200 or more.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
We're watching Utah's money at KSL. The Washington Post has laid off 100 staffers who work on the business side of the company. It comes same time as a lot of their star journalists are quitting. They are furious. The Post's owner, Jeff Bezos, blocked an endorsement of Kamala Harris. Federal safety officials are investigating Tesla's self-driving feature, specifically reports of 4 crashes when people used their phones to summon their cars. Economists expected the number to fall, but job openings rose to 8.1 million in November. The Labor Department reports it's fewer openings than we had a year ago, but still higher than the levels before the pandemic. On Wall Street today, it was a down day. The Dow losing 178 points, closing at 42,528. The S&P was down 66. The Nasdaq losing 375 points. One final foreign trip for Vice President Kamala Harris.
Vice President Harris next week will travel overseas in what will likely be her last foreign trip in office. She'll focus on the U.S. military, making stops at American bases in Singapore, Bahrain, and Germany. The Vice President's office says that over the trip, Harris will discuss the administration's record in each region, the U.S. partnerships with the respective nations, the contributions of the U.S. military to regional and global security, and the enduring national security interest of the United States. Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff will join the Vice President on the trip. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
KSL News Time, 5:26.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about Soda Weight Loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, it came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because Soda Weight Loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
The best parts of KSL News Radio are so easy to use in the car. Catch the biggest stories affecting Utah's communities throughout the morning. If you miss a newscast, the next one is just a few minutes away. Plus, we have traffic updates every 10 minutes on the 9s like clockwork. We try to make it easy for your commute, mornings and afternoons. Rely on KSL News Radio.
Let's get you home right now. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
Still a long, slow drive on southbound I-15 from the North Temple area, really all the way to the point of the mountain. And heavy and slow traffic southbound on the West Belt from an earlier crash near 2100 South, backing traffic to Rose Park. Michelle?
Bangerter Highway delays between I-80 and 4700 South, along with construction delays westbound in Riverton, a little below freeway speed southbound I-15 in Utah County Pioneer Crossing to Linden. Steve?
And delays linger northbound 15 between 33rd South and North Salt Lake. Southbound I-15 delays at Antelope Drive and northbound Legacy. Bogged down from Bountiful into Centerville. Get started on your dream kitchen or bath countertops with special financing for Bedrock Quartz for up to 18 months. Visit bedrockquartz.com for details. That's bedrockquartz.com. Steve Carls in the KSL Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine today, but some strong winds for Davis and Weber County. Not so much over into Utah and Salt Lake County, but temperatures managed to get into the 40s. We'll do it again tomorrow, 40 degrees and mostly sunny skies in Salt Lake. We'll keep the sunshine on Thursday, but temperatures fall back to the 30s. Partly cloudy 38 on Friday, then increasing clouds Saturday, Sunday, with a 30% chance of some scattered light snow. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
That wind is kicking up around Ogden, 19 miles an hour. It's 35 degrees there, 38 in Provo. Down in St. George, cloudy. There's a 20-mile-an-hour wind there, and it's 49 degrees.
You're listening to Jeff Caplan's Afternoon News
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM
and 1160 AM.
Good evening, 5:30 at KSL. Jeff Caplan here with 37 degrees. KSL's top story. A plea deal for the man accused of faking his own death to avoid rape charges has fallen through. That means that Nicholas Rossi is going to stand trial later this year.
Line for Nicholas Rossi to enter a guilty plea if he was going to, but instead, his attorney confirmed negotiations with the state fell apart without a plea deal in place. And attorneys for the state says that means they're good to go to trial in September.
The state withdrew any plea offer, and with the understanding that will not be offered again.
Rossi appeared at the hearing over a video feed from the Utah County Jail. He had oxygen with him and appeared to be in a wheelchair. He did not speak at today's hearing. The next hearing in the case is set for March. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
A teacher in the Alpine School District has been arrested accused of downloading child pornography on a work computer.
Arresting documents show an art teacher at Oak Canyon Junior High used his school email to download explicit material. Police say Travis Adamson admitted to downloading the files and told them he had even more on a hard drive at his house. Rich Stoll with the Alpine School District says they immediately placed the teacher on administrative leave.
We have district policies and state laws that guide us on our next steps. And so we're in communication with the Utah County Sheriff's Office as they conduct their investigation.
The police report says the teacher denies ever doing anything inappropriate with his students, but he did admit to viewing this type of material over the last 5 to 6 years. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time, 5:32. We have breaking news at KSL News Radio. We're hearing about a search and rescue response up Mill Creek Canyon. Reporters on the scene say the road is blocked off and there are snowmobiles going up the canyon. We've also heard there are medical helicopters in the area as well. We're following the story. We're going to continue to bring you the latest here at KSL News Radio. Many structures have already been destroyed in a fast-moving wildfire right near Los Angeles. The LA City Fire Chief, Kristen Crowley, says some 30,000 residents in the Palisades are being asked to leave their homes as a precaution.
We feel very blessed at this point that there's no injuries that are reported. We do have reports of multiple structures that are damaged.
The Palisades fire started about 9:30 this morning as a brush fire. Where is this? Well, if you're on the famous Santa Monica Pier, if you look to your right, that is the Pacific Palisades. Meantime, here at home, a wind advisory is in effect along the northern Wasatch Front. The National Weather Service says the wind could get up to 55 miles an hour around Farmington and Kaysville. The advisory about these canyon winds continues until early tomorrow morning. A state funeral will be held. The former President Jimmy Carter is at the nation's capital now, lying in state. Maria Chaleos is live at the KSL National News Desk.
Jeff, a cannon salute as the body of the former president arrived at the U.S. Capitol. Former President Carter's casket will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda until Thursday. In a ceremony welcoming the 39th president, House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke about Carter's long devotion to service after he left the White House in 1981.
We all know that his care for humanity didn't stop at building homes. In the face of illness, President Jimmy Carter brought life-saving medicine. In the face of conflict, he brokered peace. In the face of discrimination, he reminded us that we are all made in the image of God.
Mr. Carter was also honored by the Senate Majority Leader and Vice President Kamala Harris. President-elect Trump says he plans to make pardons connected with the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol.
People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted,
and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons.
During a news conference in Mar-a-Lago, Mr. Trump did not rule out the use of military force to retake the Panama Canal. Investigators in Las Vegas are piecing together more details of the New Year's Day Cybertruck bomb attack outside the Trump Hotel. Assistant Sheriff Dory Corrin says a document found on the suspect's phone listed his grievances.
There's mentions of political and social and cultural issues to include criticism of the current administration.
Corrin also says the suspect used generative AI to help plan the Las Vegas attack. Live from the KSL National News Desk, I'm Maria Chaleos, KSL News Radio.
The only surviving victim of the West Valley murder-suicide is recovering well in the hospital after he was reportedly shot in the head by his father. 18-year-old Shah Rez, a student at Granger High, and was paid a visit by teachers and staff today. In a post on Facebook, the high school says he'll be released from the hospital soon. Rez's family was found dead in their home December 17th. Police believe that his father was the one to shoot his 3 children, his wife, and then himself. The numbers might sound shocking. A third of last year's road fatalities in Utah weren't behind the wheel of a car.
UDOT and the Department of Public Safety say it's pedestrians, motorcyclists, and bike riders that made up 1/3 of all deaths on Utah roads.
It's not just city streets, downtown Salt Lake. They're out in the suburbs. They're out on the country roads.
That was UDOT spokesperson John Gleason, who believes it's on us to turn that stat around.
It's on all of us as drivers and anybody who's out on the road to watch out for these people.
More standouts in their 2024 report. Motorcycle rider deaths hit a 15-year high, and 40% of all road fatalities involve someone not wearing a seatbelt. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic. Ricky Meese is right over there.
We're in the final clearing stages of this crash on southbound I-215's West Belt near the 201 junction. Everybody out of traffic on the left shoulder. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And my minutes on the way next.
How good would it feel to start the new year by losing those unwanted pounds? At Salt Lake City Fat Loss, our metabolic reset program can help you finally lose those pounds without all the stress and frustration of trying to figure it out on your own. The secret is our program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good. Learn how our clients on average lowered their metabolic age by 17 years. Go to slcfatloss.com now to schedule your free consultation and learn why your metabolism may be sabotaging your goals.
I'm Maria Chaleos. Do what I did. Make the call. Lose up to a pound per day. A new you in this new year. Check it out at slcfatloss.com.
Now is the time to end the cycle of weight gain and frustration without packaged food or injections. You could lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days and have the tools to keep it off long term. You can do the program in person or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free consultation now at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Ooh, up top, bike shop.
Yeah. It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messelthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Join your friends who rely on KSL each morning for the fastest routes to work and school.
I am listening for the traffic. I'll always know if somebody's going to be late to work. That's often what's on when I'm driving.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s.
On KSL News Radio.
This is My Minute of News, brought to you by Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air, anyhourservices.com. What's the most popular pie in America? I'm not counting pizza, just, pie. Flaky crust hiding a sweet filling. What's the most popular? I'll give you a hint. It's as American as apple pie. So why is it that the pie Utah Googles the most is meat pie. Look, I've been here 15 years. Nobody's ever served me a pie with McNuggets in it. The only place I seem to find meat pie is on the Great British Baking Show, which my wife leaves on every single night till she falls asleep. I'm now an expert. Mince pie, shepherd's pie, the plowman's lunch. But now I've just heard about a pie you've probably never heard of. So bizarre. They're never going to put it on the British Baking Show. You ever hear of Stargazy pie? This English pie features a flaky crust filled with baked fish, eggs, and potatoes. Which sounds like it might be good, but as a finishing flourish, the baker sticks a half dozen dead fish heads into the pie. So these fish heads are popping up out of the crust, staring at you, their lifeless eyes gazing toward the beyond. You half expect them to start singing.
Folks who fish, beware.
Yes?
You may not know exactly what goes on down there.
Thank you, fish heads. Stargazy pie. Please don't Google it. I don't want it to turn up on the Utah list of best pies. You'll see the fish heads are gazing toward the stars. That's why it's called Stargazy. And if they bake it on the British Bake Off, I'm going to have nightmares.
And that's the end of this fishy tale.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. And here's Ricky Meese.
The slow speeds are starting to ease a little bit on I-215's West Belt. Now they start southbound from I-80 down to the 201 junction, where we have what remains of the earlier crash over to the left shoulder out of traffic. Southbound I-15 heavy and slow from downtown to 2100 South, and then again 3900 South all the way to the point of the mountain. Northbound I-15 slowing picks up again at 4500 South to 6 South downtown. Michelle?
Delays southbound SR 36 between Lake Point and Mills Junction for drivers on Bangerter Highway. Again, slow and go traffic between I-80 and about 4700 South. Westbound delays as you're approaching the construction at Redwood Road, and southbound I-15 seeing slowdowns on I-15, again, American Fork into Linden. Steve?
And if you're coming into downtown, still a slow ride on northbound I-15 between 45th South and North Salt Lake. Southbound I-15 delays farther north, Riverdale to Roy through the construction. Also crowded on northbound Legacy between Woods Cross and Centerville, plus a crash on eastbound SR 193 at 800 East in Clearfield. Left lane closed. Find out more about how your kitchen or bath can be the kitchen or bath of your dreams in just 3 days. Just visit 3daykitchen.com. That's 3daykitchen.com. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny skies today and temperatures back in the low 40s. Some very strong winds for Davis and Weber counties, and those gusty east winds will continue overnight, although not as strong as we have seen them today. Overnight low will be 21, 40 and mostly sunny on Wednesday, 34 mostly sunny on Thursday, and then clouds move in for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 30% chance over the weekend for some scattered light snow. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
37 with a breeze in Salt Lake City this afternoon at the U.S. Capitol. The body of Jimmy Carter was placed in the center of the rotunda to lie in state. Kamala Harris delivered a eulogy, and you'll hear parts of it coming up. We're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. It's 542. Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The Bridge Loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call at 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month. And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job.
That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
And now a minute of kindness brought to you by One Kind Act a Day. Well, Tennessee men's basketball team had a blowout win against Montana, defeating them 92-57. This win paled in comparison to the kindness the Tennessee fans demonstrated in the days following the game. You see, Montana's sophomore guard Money Williams tragically lost both his parents this year, leading him to start a GoFundMe account to provide for his 3 younger siblings. Before playing Tennessee, he had raised over $73,000. Tennessee fans became aware of the Williams story and rallied together to donate over $50,000 in the 3 days following the game. To date, with the Tennessee fan base help, they have contributed over $150,000 to the GoFundMe account. Williams is planning to use the money for funeral expenses, stability, and support in paying for education for his younger siblings. This kindness for a player on the opposing team was not only classy and beautiful, it was powerful and demonstrated kindness on and off the court. Learn more about how you can be part of kindness at thepowerofkind.org. That's thepowerofkind.org.
KSL News Time, 546. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a new report on road fatalities reveals that last year, 1/3 of all deaths on Utah roads weren't behind the wheels of a car, including pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. On KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera.
Second, 30,000 residents have been evacuated in Los Angeles County as the fast-growing Palisades fire continues to grow. Third, our biggest traffic trouble spot.
Slowdowns on I-15 in Utah County. On the southbound side, they start right before Lehigh Main Street and go to Linden. On the northbound side, they stretch from the bottom end of Linden all the way up to American Fork. And again, as you're approaching Bangerter Highway at Draper. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A beautiful January day with temperatures back in the low 40s. I'm Kevin Eubank.
It's breezy 37 at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Now our top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. A wind-driven wildfire exploded in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood of Los Angeles. Megan Garman and her daughter had to run for their lives.
The smoke just got really bad, so I just started packing up all of our stuff, and we got in the car to go. And then all the cars were abandoned, so I had nowhere to go, so I just had to get out of my car and start walking. The smoke is so bad. I have no idea where we're going.
Governor Gavin Newsom said many structures have burned, fire officials not providing an exact number. Oregon unveiled wildfire hazard maps. People living in those areas will face stricter building codes and mandates to reduce vegetation on their properties. It stems from last year's record-breaking wildfire season in Oregon. President-elect Trump said he would not rule out the use of military force to seize control of the Panama Canal and Greenland, declaring U.S. control of both is vital to American national security.
That's ABC News, and time now for the KSL In-Depth. Former President Jimmy Carter's casket arrived at the U.S. Capitol this afternoon. He will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda till his state funeral on Thursday. During the memorial service in the Rotunda, Vice President Kamala Harris delivered a eulogy.
Jimmy Carter was that all too rare example of a gifted man who also walks with humility, modesty, and grace. Recall the stories from the 1976 campaign about how he slept in the homes of his supporters to share a meal with them at their table and to listen to what was on their minds. How on their first trip for Habitat for Humanity, Jimmy and Rosalind rode the bus with the other volunteers. And when the group stopped for the night to stay at a local church, Jimmy and Rosalind gave their private room to a young couple who had put off their honeymoon to join the trip. And with the other volunteers, they then slept on the floor of the church basement. And then, of course, his work to eradicate the vicious guinea worm disease that once disabled millions of people a year. It was one of the Carter Center's greatest triumphs. And Jimmy Carter, of course, given his nature, attributed its success not to his own leadership, but to the thousands of everyday Africans who were on the ground doing the work. Throughout his life and career, Jimmy Carter retained a fundamental decency and humility.
Vice President Kamala Harris said President Carter lived his faith, served the people, and left the world a better place than he found it. KSL News Time 5:50 now. Your traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Ricky, what's going on?
A small accident, a new one in Sandy, northbound I-15 after 90 is south, but out of traffic on the right shoulder. But it's that's on the northbound side. It's on the southbound side where we still have a lot of slowdowns going from 1300 south into Bluffdale, westbound on the 201, bogged down between I-15 and Bangor, and again, Mountain View to Magna. Michelle?
Slow southbound I-15 approaching Lehigh's Main Street down to the Linden area. And on the flip side, seeing delays right about 1600 north in Linden, headed back up toward Pioneer Crossing. And then intermittent delays on Pioneer Crossing itself. This is going west from I-15, headed over to the ranches. Steve?
Slowdowns, northbound 15, got a crash now in the mix as you head into downtown. That's just past 45th South, I should say. That's on the right shoulder. Delays in Weber County, southbound 15, Riverdale to Roy. Also crowded on northbound Legacy, Woods Cross into Centerville. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
A beautiful day along the Wasatch Front with lots of sunshine. Temperatures, though, have been in the low 40s. We have had those strong winds in Davis and Weber County. Those winds will continue tonight and into early Wednesday morning, although not as strong as we have seen them today. 21 degrees overnight, 40 for the high on our Wednesday with mostly sunny skies, 30s for highs on Thursday and Friday with increasing clouds Friday afternoon, and then darker clouds get here Saturday, Sunday with a 30% chance of some light snowfall. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Kevin Eubank.
Your 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. It's 36 degrees. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'm going to dribble off into the wind. BYU faces Texas Tech right here on KSL News Radio. Hoops coming up at 6 o'clock. It's 5:52.
All in all, you're just another brick in the wall.
Jeff Caplan's Afternoon News on KSL News Radio.
Imagine a currency that has true value. A currency that's local, protects your wealth, and resists inflation. Now imagine that currency is anchored to the stability of gold. Introducing Goldbacks, a currency made of 24-karat gold, accepted at over 800 businesses in Utah. Don't just imagine it. Visit alpinegold.com to start spending in gold. Use promo code RADIO to get free shipping on orders of over $200 or more.
My daughter, she's 2. My wife, Meriden, we did it together because we want to be around a long time for her.
Every single day, people are losing weight and keeping it off with Soda Weight Loss, improving their health, their quality of life.
I would recommend this program to anybody. Anybody can do it.
For the month of January, Soda Weight Loss is offering a new client partner program. Join with a partner, a friend, someone you love for the cost of one.
Tried everything from fasting to every diet. Kept hearing about soda weight loss. So what they did was give me a plan to lose the weight. It came with a nutritionist, came without drugs or pills or shots or side effects.
What are you waiting for? Get started with Soda Weight Loss right now with a partner and only pay for one.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? Because soda weight loss works.
Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
We're watching Utah's Money at KSL. Another dock workers' strike could be on the horizon. Longshoremen are planning to walk out to protest machines replacing human labor. This is the same union that went on strike again against East Coast ports back in October. AI startup Anthropic is getting ready to raise another $2 billion. Chump change when it comes to artificial intelligence. The money would raise Anthropic's valuation to $60 billion. Gamers. NVIDIA has announced a brand new series of graphic cards, the GeForce 50 series, tons faster than the 40 series, and they'll use AI. Price tag anywhere from $600 to $2,000 on the high end. On Wall Street today, it was a down day. The Dow losing 178 points. It closed at 42,528. The S&P was down 66. The NASDAQ down 375 points. KSL News Time 5:56, and time for Cougar Tracks on KSL News Radio. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper.
BYU basketball is back at the comfortable confines of the Marriott Center, where they look to extend their 14-game home win streak dating back to last season tonight against Texas Tech. A couple days ago, BYU faced a defensive juggernaut in Houston. Tech prides itself on the offensive side of the ball, and Kevin Young knows it'll be a difficult challenge for his team.
Two totally different teams stylistically, so we'll have to have, some things dialed in for Texas Tech that weren't pertinent to Houston. But, the rebounding obviously will be a big part of it, trying to keep them off the offensive glass. But, I was talking to the coaches, and I'm about to go tell the players, this will be the best offensive team we've played to date. I think it's a mix of just really good talent, and then their coach does a really good job of keeping them organized offensively. They space the floor really well.
BYU versus Texas Tech tips off tonight at 7 p.m. here on KSL, with digital coverage on KSLSports.com. With Cougar Tracks, I'm Mitch Harper on your legacy home of the BYU Cougars, KSL News Radio.
And we have a new northbound I-15 crash with delays into Salt Lake City. Stay with us. Traffic's on the way. Next.
If you find yourself avoiding family photos or feeling self-conscious among friends because of your smile, you're not alone. Many people face these challenges due to missing or broken teeth or painful dentures. But there's hope. Rediscover the joy of a full, healthy smile with Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's Best of State winner. At Stubbs Dental, they deeply understand the emotional impact of missing teeth. It's not just about your smile. It's about feeling confident and embracing life fully. Their team of experts transform lives with dental implants, one beautiful smile at a time. Picture yourself not just looking, but feeling your best, confidently participating in family photos and laughing freely with friends. Join the thousands of people who have trusted Stubbs Dental for their dental implants, rediscovering not just their smile, but their self-confidence. And the best part, finding out if you're eligible for dental implants is easy. Visit StubbsDental.com, and in just 60 seconds, you could be on your way to a life-changing smile. That's StubbsDental.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage? Changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $38.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. Here's Ricky Meese.
We've had 2 crashes on northbound I-15, one after 90 is south. That one has a right lane blocked, and then one prior to, or just after 4500 south. That one's out of traffic, so we're not seeing really any delays from any of them. But southbound I-15 remains clogged as you go from South Salt Lake to Bangerter Highway. Michelle?
New crash northbound I-15 Linden right about 1600 north in the right shoulder. Steve?
Northbound 15 still bogged down heading into downtown from 21st South. Southbound 15 delays Riverdale to Roy through that work zone. Tax problems keeping you up at night? Get the IRS off your back. Let Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox stop the IRS harassment now. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Steve Carlson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Canyon winds should diminish tonight down to 21. Sunshine for tomorrow. Expect a high of 38 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The following is a presentation of the new skin, BYU Sports Network. BYU Cougars basketball is on the air.
Back left to Trevin. Pull, fire, score! Trevin nailed for 3!
This is Cougar Pregame Live, brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union. Mountain America, guiding members forward for more than 80 years. To get you ready for BYU and Texas Tech, here's your host, Jason Shepard.
Good evening, BYU basketball fans. Welcome into Cougar Pregame Live, presented as always by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. Tonight, as you just heard, the BYU Cougars back at home, looking to bounce back from Saturday's disappointing loss at number 14 Houston. And at the Marriott Center tonight is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now, let's not spend a ton of time on the loss to the Red Cougars. BYU struggled with turnovers and rebounding, not to mention Houston shot almost 50% from the field and 47% from 3. It was a bad combo for BYU, and the Cougars are now 0-2 in true road games this season. The other loss was at Providence, which was also a blowout. Now, the good news is that the conference season is still very young, and to a certain degree, so is this BYU team. They're still trying to figure out how to play together after so many different players missed significant time. From a health standpoint, the good news is that everyone's back and playing, which should help this team build that continuity that they need when facing tough teams like Houston and others, as we have come to know in the Big 12 Conference. Now, Texas Tech is in Provo tonight, and they bring a 10-3 record with them. The Red Raiders, just like the Cougars, have split their first 2 Big 12 games. The one win came in Salt Lake City on Saturday when they worked the Utes on their home floor 93-65. Texas Tech, a very dangerous team. Remember, the Red Raiders were picked 7th in the preseason poll, 2 spots ahead of BYU. They have 4 players averaging double-digit scoring and are led by JT Toppin with 18 points and 10 boards per game. This is his first season with the Red Raiders after transferring from New Mexico. And with Texas Tech, you have to be aware of how well they shoot the basketball. Listen to these numbers. They're the number 1 field goal percentage shooting team in the nation. And as a team, shooting 51.6, so almost 52% from the field, which is insane. And in case you were wondering, BYU ranks 57th at 47.9% from the field. So this is one of those games where you are going to need to take a team that is super efficient in the Red Raiders and try and mess things up a little bit. Make shots not as easy, let them get into a rhythm. Because when a team shoots the ball that well, you've got to do something that takes them out of rhythm. That's just one of the things that I talked with our pregame guest about. Talked with Foose yesterday after practice, and this is our conversation.
Yeah. Now, yesterday I actually feel like forever, because we were just ready to just get over it, and we just excited to play another game, I know everybody's just super frustrated, like we're actually super excited. It's going to be a good game against Texas Tech, because I feel like everybody's just locked in, like everybody just have that fight on them, we're just mad, frustrated. We just want to go at it,
What do you feel like is the easiest thing to fix immediately?
The easiest thing?
Yeah, is the easiest thing to fix based off of with this game and maybe the Providence game and some of the losses that you've had. What's the easiest thing to take from those games that you can fix?
I just feel like execution, like in defense, like a tight shell, like I feel like we were talking about, like we have to have like our heel on the threes, like we just don't want to be spread up in defense, and offensively we just gotta keep moving the ball, like just make a simple play, because that's what we've been talking about, because that's on our control, like just keep moving the ball, and just make the right play,
Look, the good news is the conference season is so young and you've got so many games left to find that rhythm. And you guys looked so good against Arizona State. Do you almost have to chalk that up to, look, it was a really bad game, but let's not sit and focus on that too much. We know we're a good team and let's go out and show it against Texas Tech.
No, definitely, I feel like the whole team know that, we got all the keys and in that team, like we got like a lot of good weapon, like a lot of talent, I feel like we know that, we're just not gonna sit and feel sorry for ourselves about the Houston game, like that's just our mindset, yeah, that game was super ugly and we got embarrassed, but we're not gonna let that affect what's gonna happen tomorrow, like we're just gonna go and just, because we're actually good, we gotta believe it, and we just gotta go prove it tomorrow again,
Texas Tech took both games last season, one in the regular season, and I know you guys felt like you should have won that game in Lubbock, and then one in the Big 12 tournament. What do you remember from those games last year against the Red Raiders?
Man, it was just, I feel like they just wouldn't miss a shot, especially Papa Isaac, like it was just, everything his shoe is just going, Like this year, we just know, like we got some really good shooters, We just gonna make sure, like whenever they catch a ball, someone is right there in their face, Like we just not gonna let them keep going, That's just the mindset, like that's the same thing happened to us last year, like we just have them get it going, and we wouldn't miss it anymore, So we just not gonna let that happen this year.
You mentioned how they were just hitting every shot. Well, they've kind of carried that over to this year. They're the number one team in the nation in field goal percentage at just over 51%. From a defensive standpoint, how do you slow down a team that shoots so efficiently like that?
Yeah, it's just like it's still the same defense shell defense, Like we all just gotta be held inside the three, Like just helping each other and stand to seal, like just all the thing, let's just not get any guys wide open, At least if they're a shooter, you gotta run off them with shooters, make them dribble, I think so that's more like a mind goal, you cannot just let them get a catch, and shoot it, Our goal is to make them drive, make them put the ball on the floor,
You guys are a completely different team than what you guys were last year, and they obviously have to adjust to the new players that you have. How do you guys feel you can attack them and make them sort of play your game?
Yeah, we just, like the same thing we talk about, like our talent, and just how we're just gonna be able to play freedomly, and just make it easy play for the teammate, because we got a lot of unselfish guys in this team, Like we all trying to play for each other, We're just trying to like have a mindset, to just point 0.5 second, to just keep moving the ball, So that's just the goal, Like we're just trying to run over those guys through the gym, tomorrow.
For you personally, having been on this team last year that went through the first year in the Big 12, how much more confident are you going into this second year simply because you went through an entire Big 12 season already and you kind of know what to expect? How much has that changed how you view these conference games this year?
It's definitely, like, because my mindset is always is not gonna be easy. There is never gonna be easy night anymore, Like right, that like there won't be any surprises, because you already know every single game gonna be like a dog fight, So like having that mindset, I'm just ready, like for whatever, because I just know it's not gonna be easy, So mentally, I'm just ready for it, Like I just know it's just not gonna be easy, Like none of the other, it's just not gonna be easy. So I'm just excited and just say, okay, they're not gonna make it easy on you. You're not gonna make it easy on them too, So it's just gonna be a dogfight online,
Should be a fun one. All right, Foos, last question. I wanna move from BYU men's basketball to BYU women's basketball. And I want to ask you about a certain player that will be playing for the women's team, and that would be your sister. And I know she's been dealing with a lot of injuries that's kept her from being able to get back out on the court as quickly as she would want. How excited are you, even though you won't be here, how excited are you for her to be in Provo and representing BYU just like you did?
No, I'm actually super excited about it. I'm just super proud, Like, I know I'm going to be gone, but she's going to be able to represent BYU, so I'm just excited. I'm just actually super excited for her, It's going to be, definitely BYU going to love her, I'm just super excited for the journey,
Is there any sibling rivalry there? Like, who's the better basketball player? I mean, do you guys get into any of that stuff?
Well, I think so. She already know I'm the better one, but she just don't, it's actually cool, I'm actually super excited about her. I wish I could be here to watch her, but I guess we'll see there,
Bruce, thank you so much for taking a few minutes. Good luck against the Red Raiders.
Yeah, let's go. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Funny story about the end of that interview, by the way. So I didn't realize ahead of time who I was going to get, and it turned out that I was able to get Foose for the pregame interview yesterday. So I thought, I haven't asked him about his sister. So I'm gonna ask him about his sister and get his thoughts on her coming to and being able to play with BYU women's basketball next season. And so obviously you heard his answer there. Well, when I go to women's basketball practice today, guess who for the first time I see at practice? Miriam Traore. So it was just funny that I just sort of asked that question on a whim, and then today, the very next day, I see her at practice. And the good news is, as I mentioned, she's set to play for BYU women's basketball next season. She is actually enrolled and will start school tomorrow. So she is here. She is on campus. She did not participate in practice. She was just there. But she will begin school tomorrow, and then she will work her way into being able to be available for all the off-season stuff and then be ready for the 25-26 season. So I thought that was both interesting and just sort of funny that I happened to ask him about his sister, who I had never met and had not seen at practices before. And then today, after asking him, there she was. So that's also an update on Miriam Traore. But I know that Foose, as he mentioned, very, very proud of his sister to be able to carry on that legacy of the Traores here at BYU. All right, coming up next, we'll head to the Marriott Center for our courtside conversation with Mark Durant. Cougar Pregame Live continues in just a moment on the new skin, BYU Sports Network.
Like the BYU Cougars, Zions Bank has a long, storied history and a loyal fan base. But we're more than just your bank. We're your neighbors. With more than 120 branches to serve you throughout Utah and Idaho, coupled with the convenience of mobile banking in the palm of your hand, we're here for you, wherever you are. For all of your personal and business banking needs, visit us online at zionsbank.com or stop by your local Zions Bank branch to meet with a banker in person. Let us show you all the ways. Zions Bank is for you.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we, Intermountain Health.
Hey, traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by My Style Checking from Mountain America Credit Union. We do have a crash in Tooele County. This is at SR 36 Main Street at 10th North. It's been blocking a right lane of traffic. On northbound I-15, a right lane also blocked with a crash. It's just after 90th South, but once you're past that, you are good to go until you hit 2100 South, where it's still a little busy and slow to downtown. Delays linger southbound I-15 from 4500 South Murray to Draper at Bangerter Highway. And again, as you're going from Lehigh Main Street into Linden, westbound Pioneer Crossing, that's also going to be a little crowded and slow. That's between the I-15 junction and Saratoga Road. The good news is we have cleared out southbound I-215's west belt, and that's from 700 north down to the 201 junction. Tax problems keeping you up at night? Get the IRS off your back. Let Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox stop the IRS harassment now. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Here's Jason Shepard with more Mountain America Cougar Pregame Live on the new skin, BYU Sports Network.
Getting you ready for the Cougars and the Red Raiders at the Marriott Center, which is where we will go right now and join former BYU basketball player. He is our radio analyst, and he's everybody's good friend. He is Mark Durant. Hello, Mark.
I am everybody's friend, but you and I are special friends, Jason.
We are very good friends, and I have missed talking to you, and it is good to hear your voice.
I was worried about you traveling across the country from Cincinnati to West Virginia. That's a long drive. I thought, well, he's driving that? Listen, I went on my mission to Cincinnati. That's a long drive, brother.
So here was the alternative was getting up at 4 a.m. Eastern time the next morning, flying to Atlanta, flying to Pittsburgh, and then driving an hour, or after the game Saturday, just getting in the rental car and driving 4 hours.
Listen, there's no easy way to get to Morgantown unless you're chartering in, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's get to BYU men's basketball. The Houston game was very much like the loss to Providence. Were you as despondent after Saturday's loss as you were with the loss to the Friars?
Well, it was kind of a different feel. I mean, in Providence, I thought this is crazy because BYU's doing a lot of good things, but they're just it's just not working out for them. And some of the numbers that you would think you'd see in a win, they were getting them. The offense was doing fine, but it just got away from BYU. But Houston was just the throttling. I mean, they were never really in it and never looked good on either end of the floor. And the numbers reflected what the game was. It was just a butt kicking and so it was just kind of a weird feeling, and it was almost like BYU's just outmatched here, and so I'm not too upset about it. Kind of Providence, I thought, well, that's a game BYU should win. I think BYU's good enough to win this game, but Houston was just overwhelmingly good, and that's not to say BYU can't get better or can't compete against Houston, but that day at Houston, they were just so much better. They were so aggressive. That I'd never seen a defense like that before. There was just no breathing room for BYU, and as a result, they got a little bit flustered and rattled, and then they got behind, and so you get even more. You start to press even more and do things that you normally wouldn't otherwise do, and commit turnovers you normally otherwise wouldn't. So after a while, I'm just like, wipe your hands of this one and go back home and see if you can get back on track again at home. And I think this is a great opportunity to put that one in the rearview mirror and look forward to the season, because it's a long season and games like that will happen. You saw it in the conference, so many big wins in the conference by teams, and so that's going to happen from time to time with as good as these teams are. They get hot, they get confident, especially at home, and they can get away from you very quickly.
After every loss, you hear, and I've even said it a couple of times in the previous segment, after a loss, you're looking to bounce back, and you're certainly looking to bounce back after a loss like the game in Houston. In your opinion, what does bouncing back tonight look like?
Well, over Christmas I watched Rudolph, and the thing about Bumbles,